Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody around the world, hello and welcome to the hottest show in all the globe, the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Make some noise, clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We are back again with another action-packed episode for you today, covering the world of boxing, basketball, and everything else going on around the sports ethos that we love, that we abide in, and this is indeed our time to shine. We got fights coming up. We still got some concerns in the world of David Benavidez and David Morrell. I got some gripes and qualms with exactly the outcome of this fight. Yes, we broke down the predictions, but there's some fear on the side of David Morrell that I don't think we've had to address in its full totality. Also, we got to talk about stuff in the realm of Canelo Alvarez, looking past just the most immediate aspirations of this fight with Canelo, or not with Canelo, with Benavidez and the likes of David Morrell. There's still some ruminations that can potentially come to fruition depending on the ripple effects of this fight between these two. And if that's the case, could we see Canelo now be forced out of the ultimate control that we've seen him at for the entirety of his illustrious career? All that and much more on this show. Again, we gotta talk about people like Chief Lopez. We gotta talk about fights like, we could talk about Shakur if you all want to. But again, this is also your show as much as it is mine. So at the end of the show, we're gonna have the championship rounds. Oh yes, it's your time to shine. It'll be your time to work and make the show your own by commenting whatever you want to debate about, whatever you want to discuss for the last 30 minutes to an hour of the show. Once we get to the end of everything I got to cover, and then bing, bang, boom. Hey, basketball, boxing, movies, sports, video games, don't matter to me. If I can talk about it, I'll be about it. And if I can't, hey, I'll just say we got to pass and move on. But regardless of which, we got a jam-packed show for you today. If you would go ahead, leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. Again, we are indeed phenomenal. We are indeed growing. We are indeed now at 1,600 subscribers. It's all thanks to you and your support. We couldn't do this without you. Clap it up for yourselves. Make some noise for you all making this community the best it can be and growing this empire to new heights that we have again yet to be seen in the realm of the sports world. Trust and believe we're going to grow. We're going to be bigger. We're going to expand. We're going to be all-encompassing. Oh, yes, indeed. And unlike the Roman Empire, we ain't going to fall flat. We're going to reign. We're going to rule. We're going to dominate, because that's what we do right here on the Watch. Well, again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you would go ahead and subscribe, leave a like. But we got stuff to talk about. We got a show to do. Also, we're available on every podcasting platform imaginable. You can go back and listen on this show on whatever device you got, on whatever platform you got. Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And if we're not, tell us, and we'll get there as soon as possible. But with all that being said, we got sports to discuss. We got boxing to talk about first and foremost. And since we're talking about boxing, it is time to step into the ring. That's right. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show going underway in this boxing segment. We got to talk about, again, as you see in the title, as you see in the thumbnail, David Benavidez and David Morrell. It is coming sooner than we all expect and more, and it can't come soon enough. I'm being completely honest. Happening this weekend, this Saturday, two of the most high-profile fighters in the world, or at light heavyweight, and also one of the most high-profile fighters in the world, and one of the best prospects in the world, moving up to light heavyweight to face off against each other in a fight that, again, if you did not know, this will determine. Hold on, wait, no, that's the wrong button. There we go. This fight will determine the number one contender for the undisputed light heavyweight championship, and they will face the winner of the rematch of Bivol versus Benavidez. Well, there's a lot on the line, trust and believe, but since that's the case, we covered the fight and we broke down who's going to win. I feel that David Benavidez is going to win. I feel it's going to be by knockout either in round 9 or round 11. You can go back and listen to not just the last podcast, which I always want you to do, but also I cut up that breakdown, put it on the channel for anybody to be able to see whenever they want to. So you can go back and see exactly what I had to say on my opinions and my predictions for this fight. So we've gone through the outcomes of what we think is going to happen. But I think we haven't gotten to go through the true intermediate danger that we're seeing David Morrell in. More than we're seeing the likes of David Benavidez in when it comes to this fight. Because there is a threat level, trust and belief. And let me tell you something right now. That threat level is something that I am very wary of when it comes to the likes of David Morrell. But let's talk about why. But before we do, let's talk about what you all have to say on the show. And again, if you're new here, leave a chat. Tell what you want to say. Leave your opinions. Leave your comments. Make the show your own as we go through the topics of discussion. I want to hear from you. This is a great show, but it's even better when everybody can interact and give their opinions, their thoughts, all that stuff. Absolutely. Leave it in the chat. We'll bring it up and we'll put it on here. Everything should be working now, so we ain't got no qualms, no issues. Let's get it started. Let's talk about what you all have to say. Rusty Cage, what's going on with you? How are you doing? Appreciate you joining in to the show on this afternoon. Also, you want to guess what I got in my cup? We're going to play that game. What am I drinking today? What am I drinking this morning / this afternoon on the day? Is it Douce? Is it Grey Goose? Or is it good old-fashioned Maxwell coffee? Oh, yes, indeed, with a little bit of vanilla creamer. Yeah, buddy. Mixing it up every which way. I'm going to keep you on your toes. Next thing you know, it's gonna be a guessing game. You gotta be quick on the draw. What I got going on? But let's see what you all have to say. Oh, they're just hyping up the chat and hyping everybody else. I appreciate all the love and support. Yo, Fight Buzz TV, how you doing? Glad you're here. Glad you're tuning in to the show. Well, we got a lot to talk about, trust and believe. And I can't wait to hear from you, have your voice be heard, and have everybody's voice heard on this channel. Let's see what you got. Rusty Cage, undisputed interim champion, nasty work. I don't believe it's interim that they're fighting for, but either way, even if it is, even as this would be one situation, if there was any fight that an interim title would at least have some better level of credibility, it would be because of this, because of who's actually fighting in the ring. Thankfully. Now, I believe it's going to be outright undisputed for whenever Benavidez and Morrell fight. It will be for the actual undisputed title belt. Hopefully, it ain't for no interim title. My gosh. Unless I've been lied to, we've been fooled, hoodwinked. Oh, Lord, I would just take the win out of all the sales that we've been seeing on the run of David Benavidez. But regardless of which, we need to cover the danger. Oh, yes, the danger of the fight for David Morrell. Because I think we don't really understand or grasp what David Morrell is getting ready to step into. Because there is a true and present danger, a very, very real opposition that David Morrell is going up against. And regardless of how you see him physically, my gosh, there is going to be a mental toll that is truly going to scare, or truly has me scared for the well-being of David Morrell. Boxing has more belts than WWE. Let me tell you something. It does. It's a problem. At least in WWE, we understand the hierarchy. In boxing, every belt is almost viewed as the same because every commission tries to make everything the same. WWE got the Intercontinental Championship. It is either one, a beginner belt for a rising star, or two, it turns into a dominant belt because the person who reigns ultimately becomes one of the biggest stars in the sport, elevating said championship. So then you used to have the European title, then you had the Undisputed Championship, then you had the WWE Championship, now you got the Undisputed WWE Championship, then you used to have the Universal Championship. Oh yes, indeed. It was a hodgepodge of everything. Hardcore titles, the Winged Eagle, the tag team champs, the Raw, SmackDown, individual tag teams, so the unified tag team champs. It was confusing, but at the same time, it was even easier to figure out who was champion and what when WWE had even more copious belts than they do now. In boxing, they got only 4 belts per division, but my gosh, I tell you what, you wouldn't be able to tell who's who, who's the real champion, who ain't. Belts get added left, right, and center. WBC makes new belts left, right, and center all of a sudden on a whim for every single occasion. Seemingly, it is a mess. Thankfully, looks like we're closer than we thought to getting an actual legitimate one world champion or one reigning champion. And at least we're getting more undisputed fights. So even if there is 4 belts, we at least got one person holding them all in more divisions than we've seen in a minute, in a mighty long time, which is great, which is phenomenal. But again, gotta stay on topic. The fear. When we look at the fear of Morrell, or the fear for Morrell. It is the fear of the punishment that's going to come his way by David Benavidez. Regardless of what you think about who's going to win this fight, there is one fact that is indeed true. Even with the extensive amateur record and the legitimate physical gifts that we see the likes of David Morrell have, and it is real, he has never been in a fight with this high caliber of opponent, nor of this detrimental of an opponent. There isn't. Notice every time we've seen David Morrell in the fight, it has always been, he has been the only mega dog in said fight. Now, we throw around the word dog a lot, but in this reference, when I talk about dog, I'm talking about there is a clear-cut distinction of this man is better than you in every which way, which is great, understandable, separating the pack. You want to be able to show your stark difference in talent in the elevated level versus your opponent. No question there. But the issue is then when you look at who he has fought and who he's shown that against, and now all of a sudden jumping into this much of a deep end, are we giving David Morrell too much credit in the vein of we're assuming too much that he can compete against the likes of somebody who is so proven, like a David Benavidez? Genuine. I'm serious. This is, again, this is not like a Madrimov situation. Madrimov had an even more extensive amateur record than the likes of Morrell. On top of the fact, at least I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But on top of the fact, we also saw that brother, within 10 fights, become a champion and was universally seen as arguably the top 3 best at 154 in that short amount of time. Genuinely. Now, we've seen David Morrell elevate, move up, do phenomenal, absolutely, be at the tops, no question, of 168. We understand it. But at the same vein, the level of how do we say this? The level that we looked at David Morrell versus Madrimov when it comes to the quick rise in the pro ranks to reaching the top of the mountain or close to it is vastly different. It's vastly different. And when it comes to Morrell, I have never seen him as on the same threshold as the likes of a David Benavidez. Nowhere close. As I said earlier, it has been Canelo, Benavidez, and then way down the line, or at least if there is a third gap, and Morrell does indeed fit that third gap, it is a very stark divide between the two, which I'm not holding that against him. I'm saying that's the reality. Because that's the reality, it was also due to the fact that even with all these dominant performances that we saw the likes of David Morrell do, the incredible knockouts, beating people again, had a lot of undefeated or one-loss records that he was able to put on his resume. We completely understand it. However, it still always left something for me because it was never a situation where I'm not going to say impressed, because I was impressed by his ability. But in terms of looking at the bigger picture, nothing showed me that, okay, yeah, that would be a great fight. But I truly don't believe this brother's ready for the likes of David Benavidez. Though I want to see him in the ring, and I need to see him in the ring, which is absolutely true. And it's because he has not been tested in the same vein. And I think he's overconfident in what his physical capabilities are against somebody who always dominates the physical framework in a way that Morrell, even with as dominant as he's been, has not done it. And it's been against competition that at that same stage in Benavidez's career, when Morrell was fighting these same cats, or fighting the similar caliber cats, it was a complete night and day stark shock and awe. Now, it's shock and awe in terms of looking at David Morrell. Don't get me twisted. I'm not discrediting him. But there was a distinct level. There was a distinct contrast that I always saw. That this was good. But against this same relative competition, we saw David Benavidez. David Benavidez put on a great performance. It was more so I was seeing more evolution every fight than I was seeing just standard practices of dominance, which is not bad. But when you're looking at somebody as to you're reaching the threshold of another great in your division, we can't just see, okay, you're doing the same thing. We got to make sure that we're also seeing a level of evolution, a level of change, a level of shift, a level of elevation. Every fight out. And it's, for me, didn't look as poignant. And it made me really feel, if he ever does step in the ring with Benavidez, there is going to be a real rude awakening. And I think that's what we're going to witness right now. And it's a horrifying prospect. Excuse me. My apologies. But it's a horrifying prospect. Reason being, it's a scary proposition. It's because David Benavidez is about to show Morrell a side of boxing as well as a side of himself that I don't think he's prepared to face. And what do I mean by that? Let me go right after I read some of the comments that you have. Franklin Zana, what's going on with the, how you doing, brother? What's good? How you doing? Glad that you're here. Glad that you getting up, getting early, getting bright, making your day great with me on the Welch Report. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Please comment your thoughts on whatever I got to say. And I want to hear from you also as we go through the points in the show. I want to entertain, but it's your show as much as it is mine. But I appreciate you just being in the presence. Mapai, what's up? How you doing? Glad to see you. Glad that you're here. I think you commented in the last couple live streams, and I wasn't trying to miss you, but I accidentally missed you. No, but I do always recognize when the faithful do come through, and I appreciate you sticking with me from the early on when I was doing these live streams all the way up until now. Truly, I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, I'm making your day great or night, depending on where you are in the world, because we got people all over listening to this show, absolutely. But hey, it's all well and good. I just appreciate you taking time out to support and enjoy the show. And I would love to hear from you on whatever you got to discuss in the comments and in the chat below. Also, please leave a like if you would. It would help out so much for the channel. Absolutely. But let's see what else you got to say. Moon Man, what's up with it? How you doing? If it's your first time, brother, welcome to the Empire. Welcome to the hottest show with all the Golden Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, as well as we do live streams when we can, call in the fights with live commentary and much more. I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully, if you haven't already, you've subscribed. If you're a returning viewer, a returning listener, hey, props to you for returning. Glad that you think I'm worth your time, and I'll make sure to keep on making it worth your while to give you the best that I can do, because that's what you deserve. Absolutely. But again, let's see what you got to say. David's gonna murder that man or murder this man. Hey, that's what I'm feeling. That's really what I'm feeling. And it's not just because of the physical capabilities. Again, you can go back and watch the breakdown. But what I said in the breakdown as part of the demolition that I think Benavidez is going to do is due to the fact that we're going to see the likes of Benavidez control the physical framework of the fight in a way that Morrell really isn't expecting, because Morrell looks like an Adonis. He looks incredibly strong. He looks great. But the issue is, even though Benavidez looks like a bag of milk, though he looks like somebody that isn't nearly as strong or as physically imposing, there is a distinct difference in power that we've seen from every single fighter when he goes to fight. He is a big brother that controls the physical framework of every fight he's been in, just like with Tyson Fury. It's the same or similar type of real estate control when it comes to the physical domain, dominating his opponent with power and size, even at 175, when it should be that he is matched. Even when he fought against Benavidez, he still had his weight. He still controlled the physical real estate of the ring. He still physically moved around the likes of a Benavidez. He moved around the likes of a David Lemieux, dominated the likes of Darrell, moved through Caleb Plant whichever way he wanted to do, threw him around. We're looking at a man who, Morrell, on the physical spectrum, I don't think he truly understands what the physical power of Benavidez is beyond just his punches, just in the makeup as a whole. And when that happens, It's going to be a rude awakening for the likes of David Morrell. It's going to shock them bad, shock them so bad. And once that shock sets into place, now the mental aspect of warfare begins to take hold. And you're fighting not just for your record. Now you're not just fighting against your opponent anymore. Now you're fighting against yourself, because your biggest asset is now turning into your most useless weapon. And when that takes place, the mental warfare that's going to go into why isn't my stuff working is going to rack him. It's going to rack him to his core. That's the biggest fear. I'm telling you. That's the biggest fear of everything that we've talked about with this show. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Gotta make sure I'm in frame. My apologies, real quick. But with everything that we've talked about with when it comes to the likes of Benavidez versus Morrell, beyond just the physical aspect, beyond just the experience, beyond just the ability as a fighter. Good gosh, this camera, it's still not centered like I need it to be. Hold on. Am I? There we go. Wait. Down the center line. There we go. Okay, we good now. I'm sorry. I'm a stickler when it comes to positioning, so my apologies. But anyway, regardless of which, when we look at the framework of the likes of Benavidez versus Morrell, we've been talking about the experience. And yes, it's on Benavidez's side. We've talked about the power. I believe it's on Benavidez's side, but people talk about how it is potentially 50-50, or Morrell may even be stronger. But the physical framework of a fight is not as important as the mental aspect of warfare. Mike Tyson knows this. Jack Dempsey knew this. Cus D'Amato knew it. Every boxer knows, and we've said it before, boxing is what? 90% mental, 10% physical, to quote the words of Teddy Atlas. This is a mental game. It's a chess match. And the biggest way to lose chess isn't just because your opponent knows how to beat you on the board. It's that you start doubting your own abilities in the game, in the battlefield, in the warfare, in the midst of the action. And how many times have we seen? How many times have we witnessed? How many times have we watched and wondered as Benavidez has gone and destroyed not just the body but the spirit of his opponents, the mind of his opponents, break the helplessness. I compare it to the likes of a George Foreman. Not in terms of talent, no. But in terms of breaking the mind. Breaking the mind of the opponent. Biggest thing that George Foreman did was mega puncher. Was great technical boxers also. Yeah, genuinely he was. You don't become an Olympic gold medalist for nothing. The only losses that he's had was later in his career, and to Ali, and then Ron Lyle. So it ain't like the brother, unless you were a heavy hitter just like him, or somebody that could truly be an all-time great, but you weren't beating him. And even there was an aspect of himself that he lost after the Ali fight that had him. Hey, that might be why he lost to Ron Lyle. Oh no, I'm sorry. He had a war with Ron Lyle. Who was it that beat? I can't remember. It wasn't Ron Lyle that beat him. He beat Ron Lyle in the elevator fight. It was the name's eluding me, my apologies. But regardless of which, the point I'm trying to make, throughout his entire career, it was the fact that he beat them before they got in the ring, just like with Mike Tyson. But also when they did get in the ring, it was the people feared for their life because they understood now what they're facing. They understood now truly what actual we talk about death in the sport. It happens. It's a part of the sport that is a terrible thing. But it's the reality of the situation. It's the reality of this sport that we love, which is why we respect everybody that steps in the ring. But with that being the case, there's many boxers that say it's a possibility, but it's incredibly low. Hence why I'm willing to do the risk. For them, it's in the back of their mind, but it's in the back of their mind. See what I'm saying? It's not on the forefront. When George Foreman fought opponents, that fear of death became the forefront of the fight. There were people that were saying that there were people that were saying after the fight, that's the closest I've ever been to death in the ring. I was gonna die when I fought George Foreman if I didn't quit. That's how they felt. The amount of mental weight that comes when facing the likes of a George Foreman, comes with facing the likes of Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston, and others who were so dominant in both utilizing fear and physicality. We're looking at a brother who genuinely, Morrell hasn't faced that. He hasn't. He's never faced that level of what the world did I get myself into? The realization of the reality of this sport. If you can make an opponent feel that, beyond just the damage, beyond just the cuts, but you put the risk that everybody knows is already in motion, and you put that from the back of their mind into the front of their face, it's like saying, well, it's like saying that there's a spider in the room. If you're afraid of spiders, it's like saying there's a spider in the room, but you don't see it. And so it's out of sight, out of mind. You know it's there, but you don't think about it. But the second you see it, all of a sudden, the fear takes over. The shock, you're scrambling. What the word's going on? Everything goes out of whack in your mind. Again, this is if you're afraid of spiders. But whatever you're afraid of. The horror games. I love video games. I hate horror games. But I understand the medium. The biggest thing about horror games, you know that the threat is there. But the goal is get out. And it's in the back of your mind at any point in time, this person can come and kill me or take me out, kidnap me, whatever the world it is. Whether it's Outlast, whether it's Alan Wake, whatever the world game you play, the synopsis is the same. Somebody's trying to get you. But I got to focus on the task. And until and you know they're there, but you just don't know when or you don't know where they are. The threat level is there, but it's not in the forefront yet. But the second they get on the scene, how many times have we seen from YouTube? People like KSI, people like Markiplier, and for those who watch YouTube, or for those who watch gaming channels, again, I grew up on that as well. Phenomenal, love all those channels. Jacksepticeye and others, but which digress. When it comes to the world of horror games, how many times has it been when the monster does come? Whether it's Slender Man, whether it's who's the Triangle Head, the brother who with the thing on his with literally the triangle on his head with the sword dragging behind. All these other different horror game characters. How many times has it been that when they did come around, all of a sudden you lost your wits, you dropped your controller, you stepped away, you paused the game, you stopped because it threw everything out of whack. It threw your mental capacity to be in the moment completely away. Because the threat level, you knew it's there, but you weren't facing it head up. And when you did face it head up, now even though you knew it was coming, you knew the threat was a possibility, you knew the monster could get you. But when he got you, and you got to get away in the immediate, now there's a whole different animal that you got to face. And it's something that with every opponent that we've seen David Benavidez go and fight against, they have all fell to the same conclusion. I knew the risk, but I wasn't facing the risk until I met this brother. And that's the biggest concern. Morrell, I don't know if mentally he is fit to face what is getting ready to come his way from a dominating physical standpoint. Because we've seen what Benavidez has done to people. We've seen him bludgeon people. We've seen him beat up people. We have seen him genuinely go and dominate, break faces, make people look unrecognizable. We've seen people in corners have to retire. We've seen the constant onslaught of like at this point, it's better if you just knock them out than to continue the damage that you're doing to the opponent. It would be better for the opponent. But the fact that it's not coming, it just makes it all the more horrifying. You're awake for the torture. You're awake for the detrimental damage. You are awake and conscious, and you can't do a thing about it when it comes to what Benavidez will do to you. You can't. That's the horrifying thing. That's the Mexican monster. That's the Mexican monster. That is the Mexican monster experience. He will walk you down. He will take your spirit and he will rack your brain, not just with the punches, but with facing the reality of the true danger of the sport, which is at any point in time, your life can change. And we talk about it. Absolutely. But he is one of the few people that makes that a reality because of the damage that he does. It's not just one punch KO. It is a constant round by round demolition that you are awake to feel and witness the genuine ability, the genuine shots. And it's just enough that you can't just go to sleep. But it's enough that you feel everything. And it's better that you got knocked out than it is that you're still standing. And that's something that you don't get that until you get in the ring. You don't understand that until you're in the ring with somebody that can do that to you. And Benavidez can do that to you. It is a fear that he can instill in you, because now when you get to a point where you can't do anything, when you get to the point where he's dominating and there is no answer for you, there is no way out for you, there is no way that you can go and just turn the fight around, and he's not putting you out, you're just awake to watch the torture while you're experiencing it. It's an outer body experience that at the same time you're living it. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. And it's almost when here's the thing. When David Benavidez gets going, and I mean truly gets going, and I don't say this about a lot of boxers, he turns you into a walking mummy. Now, what does that mean? That means that you are wrapped up completely. And all you can do is watch as he closes the casket. But you're not knocked out. You're not put to sleep. You're simply stuck, hosted, tied up. Because he's dominated every other aspect of you. He's taken away every other game plan that you have. He has gone through and systematically broken down your body, your stamina, your ability. He's taken away your weapons, and at the same time has only exacerbated his own to make it so that you can't do anything but watch. And you are literally stuck with trying to survive, but you can't get away. And all you can do is, like a mummy, you're wrapped up and you got to watch the casket or the sarcophagus get closed on you. And you're still alive in the process. It's a horrifying aspect. It's a horrifying reality. But it's what he does to opponents. And that type of utter domination it's so specific and unique. But it is something that is as detrimental as the fear of getting one shot KO'd. That will make anybody really look up and say, is this really what boxing had in store? You question what the sport truly is. Is it really worth the risk? Is it really worth the risk of what you can potentially incur? What you got to go through just to survive? And is it worth surviving at all? If that's what I got to experience. David Morrell has never faced something of the like. Benavidez has faced off against killers like that. Punchers that can say, hey, at least at minimum, I can put a somewhat that level of fear, like a David Lemieux. He faced off against people who have gone in that fire, like a Caleb Plant. And has been able to say, okay, I know what it's like to be in the ring with somebody that can that can put me out. I've been in the ring with the biggest of monsters now. I've gotten experience, and I know how to handle myself better. Even still, you saw what happened to him. But he did. But notice, after Caleb Plant went through an experience of getting dominated, that's when he turned into a new fighter internally. All of a sudden, no matter what Benavidez said, he would not go down. He still showed heart. He still kept on talking. But it takes you going through something as volatile as getting knocked out or getting dominated and the like to be able to gain that level of fortified will. Some people, they're born with it. Some people, they got to go through it. That's reality. We think Daniel Dubois had to go through essentially being posed as a quitter. Go through a literal life-altering situation. Ice socket against Joe Joyce. If that had taken more damage, your brother literally may not have been able to see him again. Faced off against the reality in the immediate. That if I don't stop, I could be transformed forever. That's what we just saw. That's what he went through when he went against Joe Joyce. That's what reoccurred, and might have been why he stayed down when he got knocked out against Usyk, because that shot to the face again brought back memories of, oh my gosh, got hit side of the face. I may feel funny. What the world? Do I really want to continue? But once he went through those experiences, we saw him evolve into a brand new fighter, and now he's the heavyweight champion of the world, holding one of the four belts in the division. Is seen as the third best boxer in the heavyweight world, and knocked out Anthony Joshua. It took going through that to get the ability to be mentally stable throughout the rest of his career. And with Benavidez, he's faced that in similar opponents. But he was born with the ability to be mentally stable, because he has been in the ring with killers. Again, some people are born, some people got to go through with it. Benavidez was born and also had the capabilities to dominate opponents also. Morrell, I don't know what he has inside of him because he hasn't been tested. Now, I'm careful to say that because we normally say that, oh, you ain't been tested before, you ain't proved nothing. Now, okay, yeah, you ain't really about anything because there's nothing about you that gives us any substance. No, that's not always the case. Sometimes they discredit the opponents that you face that, hey, yeah, no, you showed something against this guy. But in reality, brother, it's a scary prospect. And I'm scared for Morrell. Because in this situation, with as far as he's risen, and all the talk that he's talked, and all the high acclaim that he's been in, this is a vastly different threshold. This is of the elite in all of boxing that he's getting ready to face. That has put that same fear in every single one of his opponents. All of them were seen as the best of the best, or at that caliber. They all felt the same thing. Morrell ain't been in that type of war and hasn't faced somebody that can do that to you. Now, that is a situation where you got this much bravado, and there's somebody that can take that away and do it in such a damaging fashion that it makes you look in the sport and say, what exactly am I fighting for? Because is this really what this sport is about? Is this what I got to go through to get to the top? Brother, oh my gosh. It's an experience that can change men and women, can change anybody. That's what Benavidez can bring to opponents. A life-changing experience. You got to be built to be able to handle it, even in defeat. I don't know if Morrell mentally is built to handle that. I don't. Because if what I think's going to happen, and he physically gets outclassed, not just from a boxing technical aspect, but physically gets dominated, physically gets controlled around the ring, if that does happen, not beyond just the skills, beyond just the better technical ability, if he gets physically manhandled, where is his mental state going to be? Because I guarantee you this, in the midst of the fight, he won't be able to recover. He won't be able to recover. He won't be able to recover at all. He won't be able to do a doggone thing. And then after the fight, boy, we might be asking the same questions that we have about Devin Haney. Where is your head at now? Not because of drugs, but because of the beating that you took. Where are you now? And will that change how you fight? Because you don't want to go through that again. We've seen it countless times before. We've seen people get hesitant. We've seen people get gunshot when it comes to the world of throwing punches and receiving punches. We've seen it. We know this happens. This is the fear that I have with David Morrell. And if this does come to fruition, oh boy, talk about a fearful aspect. It's a level that he ain't ready for. I truly don't believe he's ready for it. We can talk about all the skill sets and all that stuff. He's got it. But it is the mental aspect of when you're faced truly with a monster in front of you. And now, instead of just witnessing all the damage he can do, you experience it for yourself. You understand truly the helplessness of the opponents. You understand truly the infliction of outright devastation that can come about from Gary Benavidez. How he gets stronger while you get weaker. How your inability to adapt only fuels his drive to end you. And you fall further, like in the movie Get Out, you fall further into the abyss of helplessness. You're reaching for a rope. You're reaching for a brass ring. You're reaching out for help. And there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing your corner can do. There's nothing that your skills can save you from. And you're just stuck. What do you do mentally when that happens? And many people, they break. Many people, they break. We're asking about Devin Haney right now. What is he going to look like in his next fight against Ramirez? If we could see a Devin Haney that's never the same. That's gunshot to throw the jab. That is hesitant to throw offense anymore. That is petrified of left hooks potentially. Damage could potentially be something that's horrifying. After the fight by Ryan Garcia, even though he lost the fight, got turned over. We've covered that before. We know what the deal is, but even still, the mental aspect, what is he? We don't know because of what Errol Spence, the brother, ain't been back yet. It's been, 3 years? And he ain't been back from the level of damage that he got done by Terrence Crawford. And we were expecting him to be back at least late last year. And so it's like, we have questions. Because we've seen what this can do to a fighter when you're beaten the way that Benavidez can beat you. And I don't know if Morrell is prepared for that. Just in my humble opinion. I don't know if Morrell is prepared for that. And because I don't think he's prepared for it, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'll be frank. I'm scared. I'm genuinely afraid. But let's see what you all have to say. My gosh, people have been commenting left, right, and center. The experience by itself is something that can beat him, but also the experience inside the ring can break the psyche of the opponents. Let's see. Luis Lopez, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Glad that you're tuning in. Let's see. Now, excuse me. I'm a little hesitant with rather lackluster with my Spanish, so excuse me if I don't know what puero means. But I'm assuming that you're rooting for Benavidez, which if you are, great. If you're hating on Benavidez or if you're rooting against Benavidez, hey, that's you. No problem there. That you want Morrell to win. I believe you're saying, hopefully I'm reading this right. if I got my memory correct. I believe this is rooting for Dave Benavidez. If so, I appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I'm glad that you're here. Again, I apologize if my Spanish is incredibly rusty. I am not as bilingual as I would like to be. I apologize on that, but even still, I appreciate the support. And I'm glad that you're commenting. I'm glad that you're here. What's the watch about? We talk about anything and everything in the world of sports as a whole. So thank you for tuning in. Absolutely. Rusty Cage. Hey, red flag for the knockout. That's what I see coming. All of this is a red flag for a legitimate KO that can come his way. Also, Justin Kemp, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Glad that you're here. Glad that you are tuning in to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to Too Cold. What's up? What the good guys? We got a lot of people coming through. This is great. This is phenomenal. How you doing? Glad to see you. Let's see what you got to say. It's like getting stung by a bee repeatedly. Absolutely. It's like a systematic. It's a constant thing. It's not enough to put you out, but you keep on feeling the experience, and you're tied down to where you can't get away from it. It's incredible. It's incredible. And I appreciate you tuning in. If this is your first time, hey, thank you for coming aboard the Watchable. Welcome to the Empire. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Also, I heard that there was a feature that if you say the word subscribe, it lights up the word on the browser, potentially. I could be wrong. But if you would please subscribe and see if it works. If it does work, hey, click it. If it don't work, click it anyway. And leave a like on the channel to get this stream out to the algorithms, out to the world, to let everybody know that this is the hottest show in all the globe. The Watchable with me, John Welch, and this is the best community in the world. We growing rapidly. And it's all thanks to you and your support, so I appreciate it. Absolutely. Let's see. Jason Radcliffe, what's up with you? How you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. What you got to say for the show today? His punch against the light heavyweight was like taps. He's not the monster at light heavyweight. And again, we covered this in the last show. You can go back and talk about it. And we've covered this also in other shows as well. Against people like Benavidez, who are established 175-pounders. Yes, his power isn't the same. Don't get it twisted. We understand it. But we've also talked about, even before that and in the light heavyweight fight, we saw the evolution of him. Better defensively, more responsible, doing the smart stuff even late when he got tired, because he was throwing the same level of volume at an elevated weight. It fatigued him. It wasn't because he was getting dominated. It's because he was trying to carry all this new extra fight weight and do the same work at super middleweight. Wasn't adjusted. Now that he is adjusted, all of those intricate changes can now be established for all 12 rounds, which will make him even more dangerous. And even though his power against Benavidez, and most likely against most of the other light heavyweights, won't be as damaging, don't forget that David Morrell also didn't look like the same brother from 168 either. And since they're both moving up, both of them potentially have still the same level of chin at 168, even at 175, because they haven't fully maturated into the division. Just like with Usyk. Usyk's always had a phenomenal chin, but the fear was when he moved up to heavyweight, can you take the shots of big-time punchers? And a couple fights in, once he fully matured, now he turns into one of the best chins in the heavyweight division. Because once he fully grew into that division, now, just like with Canelo when he moved from 160 to 168, once you maturate, you can finally be the best that you can be. That's what Morrell and Benavidez are both working to do. Genuinely. So they're both, in terms of moving up to 175, they're both on an even playing field. This isn't fighting against an established light heavyweight. Both the people only had one fight at 175. We've called both of them big. We've said they both can balloon up majorly. So now they're both at the same threshold. So if that's the case, even if they're both on an even playing field, unlike the established big boys at 175, wouldn't that say that genuinely it would be well in my right to assume that Benavidez, based off the track record of other 168-pounders, now fighting another former 168-pounder who's been at the same weight class at 175 for the exact same amount of time as him, that he would have the advantage to be able to still be as destructive against, if not anybody else, at least against the likes of David Morrell. So yeah, I would assume that his power on the whole wouldn't be the same, but so is it Morrell's. And when it comes to the world of his skills, he's still the same monster. And against the likes of David Benavidez, against the likes of David Morrell, most likely I feel like the power, at least against him, is going to be the same. Maybe not against everybody else, but against Morrell, I think it's going to be the same. And I don't think that monster title is going to be a hype job. I think it's going to be real. I respect the opinion, but I've gone through why multiple times. I don't think we can hold the 175 moving up, at least for this specific fight, as something to be wary of, because they're both in the same boat. I could say that Morrell's power won't be the same. I could definitely, based on what he did against Hot Rod, with Hot Rod making it a closer fight than anybody expected. Gavon was got dominated more, and he was a former champion, well more established than the likes of Hot Rod. And we saw Morrell get frustrated and struggle. Benavidez still did everything that we normally see him do, except for knock out the opponent. But he did everything else, dominating the fight. It was complete and utter. The only thing we were saying was stamina, and you may have to adapt a little more because your power won't be just able to bludgeon and take people out on average on the whole of the division. But, hey, the brother still did phenomenal work at the against a established champion who had more experience, who had been in the ring with better fighters like Artur Benavidez than the likes of Hot Rod. And we saw how Morrell struggled, not look nearly the same. Where's the same aspect of saying that he ain't got no power either? Just saying. There is, it's not just a one-way street with this. And they're both on the same street. Excuse me if I say that Benavidez is going to be able to win and dominate, in my estimation. Jay Riggs, how you doing? What's up? Good to see you. Glad that you're tuning in to the show. Plant got more respect from fans after fighting both Canelo and Benavidez. Absolutely. The brother fought the best at 168 at that point in time. Then Skill is the best at 168. Then faced off against the next brother who was seen as the biggest threat for the likes of Canelo. And stood his ground. Didn't even get knocked down. After getting knocked down and knocked out by Canelo, it was like you saw, though he got beat in both instances, you saw a shift and change. And that same shift elevated in his last fight. Was it against McCory? When he got essentially put to sleep early in the fight and woke back up, but that brother was out for a couple seconds in that McCoy fight in the first couple rounds. And then got punched with a shot to the body that threw him back and got knocked down again. And then he elevated his style and went to an infighting war against the puncher. And we saw the heart and some of the tactics that he learned from the likes of that fight with Benavidez and implemented them in that fight with McCoy. I believe that's his name. The white brother with a lot of power. And knocked him out. So yeah, he gained a lot of respect and he took stuff from them and applied it to himself. That's it. BJ has said he is Spartan. And yeah, gotta take him out, gotta take him out the ring on his shield till he got that eye socket broke. Yeah, and quit. Yeah. This is what he does. This is what the brother does on a consistent basis. This is what he does. Also, Andrew Charles, what's up with the salute to you? How are you doing? Appreciate you joining in on the show today. Let's see. I see David Benavidez play in the first 4 rounds, and then by round 5 or 6, he's taken over and just dominance after that storage by round 9. Exactly. It's going to be, we've seen it multiple times. We know he can come out like a house on fire. We also know that he can also slowly build up and build upon his offense. And all it takes is one chink in the armor. And then that's when the floodgates really open. This is about what's going to happen. I think the shift's going to change by round 4. Because we're going to see Morrell come out most likely even more aggressive. And then more than he would like to, or not even more than he would like to. He's going to oblige working on the inside because he talks about footwork all he wants, but I guarantee you that brother in Morrell is going to want to beat Benavidez at his own game. And he'll start working on the inside. And when that happens, just like every other opponent is trying to work on the inside with Benavidez, he's going to get a rude awakening. Yeah, this ain't the domain that you want to be in. And then when he tries to exit, and now use the outside of the ring even more, because unlike most Cuban fighters, he's more offensive than defensive. Now, one of the biggest assets that could help you in this fight may become unusable because it's not part of the dominant style that you have. You've clearly become the opposite of what the known Cuban renowned style is about. Defense, counterpunching, and power. Now it's aggression, footwork, and power, but defense is more so on the back burner. And when that happens and you got to use it, that's a problem. That can lead to a major issue. So yeah. And then stop it by round 9. That's exactly what I can see. That's exactly what I can see. And so round 9 or round 11, like I said in my prediction. And Mr. Pillowhands, talk about Danny, talk about Devin Haney. Yeah, I get it. I know. Yeah, there is still a problem in the Haney domain. We got to see if he can adapt. May not have punching power, but he's got to have some level of better offensive output. Because right now, people know if you can bum rush him and you got some size and physical capabilities to match him, yeah, you can give him a world of trouble. I need to see if this brother can adapt. How is he going to adapt to aggression now? Now that people know what to do against him. They're going to try to follow the blueprint of Ryan Garcia. Come in big and come out swinging. Overload the offense. Overload the defense with either speed or just utter aggression. Take some aspects of Lomachenko, go down to the body, and then consistently attack the head to the point where now it is too much and almost an overload of stuff to have to worry about. And he can get caught and go back to the old habits. Dropping that guard when he throws that jab. Being available for the left hook. Caught, hurt, potentially put down again. Could be a problem. We need to see what this evolution is really going to be about. To come back after a knockdown or loss, makes him a great fighter. Oh, talk about Caleb Plant. Absolutely. That's why we love it. And that's why we want every fighter to keep on fighting, to keep on showing that you are indeed who we know you are. A loss doesn't define you. It's what you do throughout your career, the legacy that you leave, the fights that you put on, even the losses that define what you are. That's why we love watching Caleb. He's going to be one of my favorite fighters of this era because he continues to take on every test, which exactly is what we want from every single opponent. Freeze Temp, what's good with you? How you doing? Hopefully if this is your first time here, thank you for tuning into the Welch Report. Let's see what you got to say. I got Morrell due to his amateur experience. That's understandable. I completely understand why that would be a real viable and tantalizing thing to latch onto. But it's just the one thing I'll say this. Amateur background shows the polish that you've gained, which is great. Phenomenal. Amateur background, especially if it's extensive, helps to show me how much of a truly astute student of the sport you are. How much time have you taken to really refine what your abilities are? And some people, their style isn't made for the amateurs. True. Like Mike Tyson's style, it was dominant still, but it was best fitted for the pros where you could get them out of there. And it counted for you getting them out of there. Others like Lomachenko, Golovkin, Mayweather, others, it's been built for the amateur background. And it's perfect and can translate to the amateurs because then you can outbox people. We love it. But it's the fact that I've seen, even with the amateur background, the consistent problems that the amateur of that much of a pedigree should not have. It gives me some real concern. And because of that, I'm on top of who Benavidez is. It's tough for me to go against somebody who against higher level competition that have had extensive pedigrees in their own right in amateurs as well. Have been former champions, have been in the ring with some of the best pound for pound in the world before they faced off against him. and they couldn't do a thing. It's hard for me to say that somebody like Morrell can also do what they couldn't do, especially with the same problems that I see him have, which again I covered in the last show. In regards to which I understand it, but I think we're going to see him get beat. He can win if he can knock him out within the first 5. He can get this upset, and it's possible. Oh, it's possible. He's physically capable. It's just, is he mentally ready? That's the biggest question. But let's see. I got Morrell because he has more power and chin compared to the Mexican monster. I see. Power is debatable. I think Benavidez is stronger. When it overall, maybe he's got more one shot. Okay, injured. I get that. But overall, from a whole physical standpoint, I think that Benavidez is stronger. On top of that, it's tough for me. I don't trust Morrell's chin as much as I trust Benavidez's chin because of who Benavidez has faced. Again, like punchers like David Lemieux and other heavy hitters at 168 who were indeed able to put him out. But he ate the shots that they gave and kept on clicking, kept on trucking. And he also doesn't rely on his chin, nearly as much as the likes of David Morrell. At least from what I've seen, what I've experienced, what I've watched, when I studied them. So I disagree, but I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong on the night of the fight, hey, we'll see it and we'll talk about it. Oh, no question about that. Let's see. Shields will have Morrell ready, and he should have his power in the fight. We'll see. I'm excited. Well, I hope he does. Again, I'm not hating on Morrell. I hope he does. I want to see a great fight. I want to see a war. I would love for this to be a potential trilogy because it's got the makings of a trilogy. I would love to see that. Absolutely. Absolutely. No question about it. Absolutely. But when it comes to the world of Morrell and Benavidez, though I think Benavidez is going to win, I want to see a phenomenal fight. I want to see them run it back. I want to see a legitimate all-time great war because that's what this can stack up to be. This has the writings on the wall of Fight of the Year. And regardless of who I think is going to win, but I want to see a fight that's worth my time. Especially when it's built like this on animosity and legitimate ire and hate for each other. Oh my gosh. That'll be incredible. Again, if Benavidez loses, okay. Benavidez lost. Morrell, hey, the world is yours. Take the undisputed title. See if you can get a fight with Canelo at 172, potentially 175, if you are successful. Run it back with Benavidez. And then Benavidez, I want to see how you evolve. All that stuff. I want to see the best of the best become better. And then face off against each other. That's what I want to see. Absolutely. So I'm just excited for the fight. No question about it. Yo, Super Saiyan, what's good with you? How you doing, Super Saiyan Jackson? Legendary Super Saiyan Jackson, what's up with you? How you doing? Glad that you are here. Let's see what you got to say. Benavidez versus Morrell is a true 60-40 or 55-45 Benavidez on paper. I feel it. I understand. Again, you can talk your way into 55-45. But yeah, on average, it's about 60-40. But it's not a bad 60-40. Because of the experience, the resume, and the proximity to being the biggest op for Canelo, even now. As in a man that could beat him. All of that helps to put him over the top because it was expected. But Morrell can shake up all this literally with a single shot. And so, that's about right. I would think it's closer to 60-40 in the public eye than 55-45. If hardcore, I don't want to alienate people, but more devout fans of the sport who's been able to follow both of them, it's probably closer to 55-45 for them. Most likely. But on the whole, for the average fan, most likely it's 60-40 that Benavidez is going to win. We'll have to see. Gavazic was able to press David to the ropes quite a few times in mid and late rounds when Benavidez got tired. Gavazic didn't have the explosive power to really make him pay when Benavidez covers up. You're right. You're absolutely right. Again, the first half of the fight, Benavidez was doing everything that we know he can do. Second half, like I said, He didn't get tired because Gvozdyk sapped the energy. He got tired because he tried to do the same amount of work for all 12 rounds that he did at 168, but his body wasn't acclimated to the new weight. Similar to Canelo when he fought for a second time against Bivol at 175, his body couldn't handle the weight the same way, hence he couldn't do everything that he normally could do. Hence why you saw him breathing heavy. You saw him getting tired. It wasn't just because of the boxing class that Bivol gave him. It was also because individually, his body wasn't equipped to be able to do that anymore. When he fought against Kovalev, he could do it. But when he fought against Bivol once he got older, his body just can't handle the same weight. Now his perfect weight for what he is right now is 175. It is. Genuine. So, yeah. And at least for me, that's what I saw. And so when it comes to Gvozdyk did push him to the ropes. Gvozdyk, again, was able, because he's also as big as Benavidez, to, when Benavidez's offense started to lull, was able to get more aggressive, had some more holes he could use. But it wasn't just because of sheer domination or Gvozdyk just flipped the switch. Context is Benavidez got tired because of his own work. And he had to take rounds off in order to be able to go full 12 and end strong. Couple that he had broken hands as well in the fight. I believe another injury also. But regardless of which, still performed like he performed. So, I think coming into this fight, I don't think stamina is going to be as big of an issue anymore. Hence why I had it as one of the biggest points as to why he can win. Because now, fully acclimated, full training camp, upwards of a year and a half of being at 175 or beyond, is more comfortable throwing in volume and be able to sustain that. Just like he did at 168. He just took some time. Now, I believe he'll be just fine. Absolutely, at least for me. And also, clowning Dubois for quitting against Joe Joyce due to an orbital bone injury, didn't get in the same exact injury shortly after. Yeah, it's just comical. It's just comical. Again, that's why you never heard me to hate on Dubois. Because I got why he did that. Because, brother, if your eyesight's gone, as you can see, I got glasses. And so, if all of a sudden you're in the midst of, I may not be able to see again or see the same, it is a harrowing experience. Live to fight another day. I completely understood why he did it. Now, against Usyk, different story. Usyk, I think he actually quit. Joe Joyce, understandable as to why he had to stop for his own health. But even still, it's some incredible irony. It's not some incredible irony. I'll tell you what. But let's see. Devin Lemieux was shot by the time he fought David Benavidez. He was. Understand, wasn't the same. But even still, as a puncher, as a threat, even with his declining ability, he was still one of the more dangerous fighters at the division. And to even with the old Lemieux, to be able to handle him like he did, speaks volumes for somebody, especially going up against a threat level that, regardless of whatever you want to say about his skills, at minimum, power on power. With what David Lemieux had shown up until that point, he was indeed seen as a threat. There was some level of legitimate concern. Maybe not in the skill department, but in the physical framework of the fight. Yeah. From a power standpoint, yeah, it was. And so that's why I give props to that. Again, I understand the context, but even still with that, what also the context brought, as well as what it took away, to me, makes that fight valuable. Hence why I always reference it. But let's see. No, hold on. Fernando Francesca, how are you doing? Greetings from Argentina. Benavidez wins by KO in the ninth round. Wow, really, all the way across the globe. Wait, hold on, Argentina. Hold on, wait a minute. Argentina, is that South America? Excuse me, I was good at history, but I ain't seen it in a minute. Okay, gosh, hold on. Let me pull up my map. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm able to give you the props that you are just due. Argentina. Let me make sure. Let me see. Yeah. South America. Oh, shoot. But how you doing? Right beside Chile and Uruguay, the home of Messi and I got to give you props, our World Cup champions. Excuse me. Let me give you your just due. Hey, ho. The dominant country in the world right now, claiming the highest, arguably the most renowned title in all of sports, World Cup champion, led by, in my opinion, the greatest soccer player, the greatest football player, to ever grace a pitch, Lionel Messi. My gosh, phenomenal. And now he's playing in the U.S. We get to see him all the time. We stole him from you. I'm just kidding. I'm just being funny. All jokes, but indeed, thank you for tuning in all the way from across the world, or rather from all the way from South America. I appreciate it. This is great. I told y'all we're global and we give everybody the best that we can do, but I appreciate it. Benavidez and KO by the ninth round, same thing that I said also. And let's see what you guys say. Gavasik was taking his power pretty well, just wasn't getting nearly as many punches off as Benavidez. Yes, he was. Absolutely. No question. No question. And he couldn't because of the amount of volume that was coming his way. Similar to the likes of Sean Porter in that fight, the volume made it so that there was no room to throw. Hence why he was able to be, he had to be, so defensive. And it wasn't, while he wasn't rocking and stumbling them, the punches at least were making him have to respect. He had enough power that Gavasik had to respect, that he couldn't just consistently counter and just trade for trade. He had to wait until Benavidez slowed down before he could start getting his best offense off. So regardless, we can say that the power wasn't the same. But we also got to say it was enough to make Gavasik respect him, to not trade with him for the first 6 rounds of the fight. And wait until you slow down before to then get some offense going in your own right. Because yeah, he could take it, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it wasn't just, oh, this is nothing. No, it wasn't like Bacoli taking Jared Anderson punches, literally walking through him. I don't care what you throw. Gavasik had to respect it to some degree because of how he went about that fight. It wasn't just because, oh, there was nothing to worry. There was something to worry about. It was just something he could handle. But it's something he also had to wait until there was less steam and less volume before fully implementing his game plan. Because if there wasn't any power he had to worry about at all, he would have gone through and tried to turn into the Gavasik of old that went toe-to-toe with Artur Beterbiev and nearly had that fight won before getting knocked out. Because he's faced off against the likes of Artur Beterbiev. And if you can face Artur Beterbiev and get to 12, brother, anybody's punches that isn't him, if they don't garner some level of respect, it should be a situation where, yeah, I don't care. But Gavasik had to care, at least to some degree. And he showed it, at least to me, he showed it in that fight. But we still got more to cover on this show, let's see what else I got on the topic. And while I'm going through, please go ahead, leave a like on the stream if you are here, because we still got more to cover in the boxing world and in the world of sports as a whole. And speaking of boxing, let's talk about the world of Canelo, shall we? Yes, indeed, because it is something to actually discuss. Like I said earlier in the show, I said that we were going to talk about Canelo, and specifically the ripple effects of this fight with Benavidez and Morrell. Specifically if Benavidez wins. Because let's be frank, if Benavidez loses and Morrell becomes champion, or Morrell gets the right to face the undisputed title, we could then see an easier pathway for Morrell to get a shot at Canelo than Benavidez to get a shot at Canelo. I'm dead serious. Because I've been saying routinely that I feel that we're seeing Benavidez being ducked by Canelo. Genuine. When the money was right, he still wasn't gonna fight him. And I'll get and hold on to that money standpoint, because I'm gonna touch on it. And I'm not trying to hate, but genuinely. Oh, excuse me. That's a whole other. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Excuse me. Is this real? Where's the comment? Somebody just said something. Rusty Cage. Oh, okay. Ryan Garcia is back with Team Canelo. Well, shoot. Hold on. Real quick. Let's touch on that then. Real quick. Ryan Garcia is back with Canelo. In fact, no. I believe we did touch on that. Ryan Garcia is back with Team Canelo. Training and working, getting ready. If that is the case, that's great. That's phenomenal. Now, initially, they had some beef. They had some problems. They had some qualms with each other when it came to the grand scheme of the world of essentially cordial relations between the two. I can't remember all the specifics, but now that he's getting back with them, what that shows me, unlike with the Devin Haney fight, which is insane to say, he's actually focused. Wait a minute. He's actually focused. Wait a minute. Hold on. He's actually focused. And why is this important? Because we saw what he was able to do, drinking, not training, partying, seemingly losing his mind against the likes of Devin Haney. And he handled him with ease. And we said at that point in time, outside of Teofimo Lopez, he is most likely the second best. Teofimo Lopez is the best at 140. And then Ryan Garcia is second best, but they're really close. Now, with the likes of Ryan Garcia working with Canelo again and seemingly back focused, not getting on social media, not having a bunch of rants, not saying a bunch of belligerent stuff, seemingly putting down all of the vices and actually getting back in the gym and working consistently, gives me hope that we can finally see the ceiling of Ryan Garcia actually be reached in a way that we didn't think was going to happen, in a way that we didn't think was actually possible. We thought it was going to be nothing but a pipe dream. But no, it could be real. And if they have made up, because I can't remember if there was I believe there was some angst between the two, Canelo, Ryan, and the team. But if they've made up, or if I'm completely wrong, this is the start of potentially a very scary situation for the world of the 140-pound division. I'm so serious. Because if we get a focused Ryan Garcia that's able to become and utilize that Philly shell that we all said looked stupid, but was actually, it has been, ironically enough, incredibly effective. Master that and take some traits from the likes of Canelo with his ability not just to use better head movement, but to also just simply using catch and shoot skill sets at an even higher rate due to your speed that you have at your disposal. Brother, that is a horrifying prospect. That is a Ryan Garcia that if Devin Haney did fight again, brother, he's knocking him out this time within 6. If it's a focused Ryan Garcia that's getting proper training that fits his style. Oh yes indeed. Oh gosh, you want to talk about horrifying experience. That's a horrifying experience. No question in my mind. And because of that, we're looking at a really, I'm telling you, as much as I've been saying T.O. is the best in the division at 140, I promise you, if we see a focused Ryan Garcia at 140, even though he's maybe not as technical as the likes of Teofimo Lopez, because Teofimo Lopez, technically, from a footwork standpoint, and power, and speed, and chin, and IQ, all of that, he's probably the best well-rounded boxer in the entire division. He literally has everything at his disposal. Gas tank stamina, multiple styles of offense, can box from the outside, can be a dog and work on the inside, can throw 1,000 punches, can counter you and end you with one shot. He's got it all. He was able to outbox box with and beat a prime Lomachenko. That said something. That genuinely shows what this brother can be. But if you get Ryan Garcia there, and while he may not be able to reach everything that T.O. is, but if he can at least get to a point where he's mastered everything that he can, to the best of his degree, that while it may be still a step under T.O., in terms of technically, physically, the brother could potentially usurp him with his height, with his reach, with his size, and arguably with his power, depending on what it truly is like when he fully is focused and ballooned at 140. Hey, yo, that is a scary proposition. Regardless of how you feel about Ryan Garcia, that's a scary thing to behold. It's horrifying to witness. And it's something I want to see take place. I got to see. Because if that does happen, oh boy, look out. World, look out. Because you get ready to see something you ain't, that's horrifying. That's absolutely scary. But as we, again, are continuing with the word of Canelo, going back to the initial point that I was going to say, when it comes to the word of Canelo, if Canelo does indeed fight the likes of a David Morrell, if Morrell wins against David Benavidez, he will have an easier time getting a fight with Canelo than David Benavidez himself. And it's because of the fact that, like I said before, I feel Canelo's been ducking Benavidez, even when everything should have been that it's a no-brainer. Still he avoided him. Still he didn't fight him. Still he took on tests that were, in all facets, bad. For the most part. Munguia, I respect. Berlanga, absolutely not. Ryder, no, as well. And so it's like, nah. We're looking at a situation where even though Canelo is a star, he's not moving like his cachet is supposed to have him move. He's not using the power accordingly or properly. Since that's the case, we call it bad. Now that we are there, here's the problem. He'll make a fight with Morrell if he beats David Benavidez, because he knows he can beat Morrell. Absolutely. And we all agree that he could beat Morrell if he faces up against him. Unless we see something different from a potential win on the side of David Morrell. But when it comes to Benavidez, there is only one way that I truly feel we will ever see Benavidez and Canelo face off against each other. And that is if Benavidez becomes the undisputed light heavyweight champion. That's the only way. That's the only way I can see it. That is the only way I can genuinely see Canelo getting in the ring and fighting the likes of David Benavidez. Because at that point, and I've said this before, I've always said it before. When it comes to David Benavidez, the threat level's too high. But Canelo keeps saying that he doesn't add anything to his legacy. That's preposterous. I don't know what Canelo means by it wouldn't add to his legacy. We have stated on this show, you are fighting against the ghost of Julio Cesar Chavez, who is, again, still living. And you're fighting to get over the legitimate ghost of Salvador Sanchez. Genuinely. You're one of the greatest Mexican boxers of all time. And you're one of the best boxers of this era. Absolutely. But the issue is there is still more that you can do. There's still a higher rung you can climb. But you are walking now in a vein that you haven't earned yet, even with your illustrious career, by saying there's nothing else to do. There is something else to do. There absolutely is. Because if there wasn't anything else to do, you still wouldn't be saying, give me a shot at 175 again for Bivol belt. Remember that? Do we not remember that? Do we not remember when we were seeing Canelo consistently say, I want a rematch with Bivol? Give me my rematch with Bivol. Bivol said, let's do it, but now at your division. You're like, no. I don't want that. Let me go back. Give me a rematch back at 175. And Bivol was like, no, I already handled my business here with you. Give me a shot at your stuff. And Canelo didn't do it. And then talk just fizzled out. Still, he's been talking about how he wants to get that fight to happen. Genuinely. So there's still work to be done. Is there not? Is there not? There's still work to be done. There's still stuff to accomplish. There is still rungs to climb up the ladder of greatness by Canelo's own standard, because he has said it. So, if that's the case, you putting down the likes of Benavidez as adding nothing to your legacy, it's preposterous. It's stupid. It's belligerent and ignorant. Dare I say, it is avoiding the apropos competition that you know you got to have, because if you don't face it, you are never going to be above the likes of Julio Cesar Chavez and Salvador Sanchez. And you got to understand, Salvador Sanchez only had 23 fights before the brother sadly passed away. But the mark that he left was so dominant. And in that quick trail of greatness that was gone too soon, he accomplished so much that, yes, he deserves to be exactly where he's ranked in the hall of Mexican greatness and boxing history. Canelo, you've reached that threshold. But you will never get above that threshold because you didn't take on these types of tests, and you're not taking on these types of tests. And the only way that Benavidez can get that test, because he wants that test, is by doing exactly what he does and winning potentially the undisputed title at light heavyweight. Because at that point in time, and I've said this in the past, now we can put the ball in Canelo's court and say, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? When I got all the belts and I'm ready to run wild on you. Again, quoting Hulk Hogan, though we got major gripes with Hulk Hogan that I can get into for an abundance of reasons. My gosh. But the quote, sadly, still stands. What you gonna do? Where you gonna go? Are you gonna stand on your word? Are you gonna rock out with what you've been saying that you want to do? Because now we can all look at it and say, you wanted to fight against Bevo. You got beat. You wanted the rematch. You've been saying you want to fight at 175 again. You said you want the titles back again. If Benavidez gets the titles, now, do you still want that smoke? Because now he's got what you don't got. And he beat, like I said before, he beat the man that beat you, potentially. If we see that Benavidez wins and then Benavidez and Benavidez face off against each other, they fight, Benavidez wins, upset win, but it would be a win. My gosh, now Benavidez beat the man that beat you. And so now what he would like at this point in time, your revenge now goes to Benavidez. If you really want your get back, if you really want your comeuppance, if you really want your ability to stand on, I want my revenge. And finally get in the ring with the brother that you've been avoiding all this time. That's the only way that it can happen. Because now the pressure will be too great. Now, I have a prize that you do indeed want. My legacy at that point in time would be undeniable, even for the likes of you. And now, the only way that you can get to me is you got to get into a place where you're uncomfortable. And that's a further detriment to you. And it would have been better off that you fought David Benavidez at 168 rather than fighting him at potentially 175 or a catchweight at 172 like Benavidez said he's willing to do if he does indeed get an opportunity to fight you at 175 for the titles. Because the plan is, I believe we were talking with Andre Ward on his podcast, he would go beat Morrell, get the undisputed titles at light heavyweight, fight for both belts in essentially a double undisputed unification for light heavyweight and for super middleweight at 172. And it would have been better if you fought him at 168 than you did at a catchweight or at 175 outright. And as also he said that he essentially, you were offered $70 million for the fight to go face off against Benavidez. To go face off against Canelo. Canelo was offered $70 million based on what Benavidez says to Andre Ward on his podcast. Canelo was offered $70 million to fight against Benavidez. Benavidez agreed to take $5 million for the whole on the fight purse just to get in the ring. Benavidez agreed, said, I'm ready for it. Let's make it happen. And Canelo's team and Canelo himself never responded back. So, when everything was literally built for Canelo to get whatever he wanted, and still he didn't do it, that's a problem. Is it not? Is that not an issue? Is that not a problem that we witness and see? And does that not show a legitimate cause for alarm when it comes to the world of this sport? When it comes to the world of boxing? How is it that that's not an issue? How is it that that's just overlooked? Canelo, you were better off fighting at 168 against Benavidez. Because if now Benavidez does indeed accomplish this incredible feat and does in fact actually get an opportunity and wins the undisputed light heavyweight championship, and then genuinely goes through and reigns, and now you, if you want a belt, gotta go up and fight him. You were better off fighting him at 168 because now we know you're going to lose at 175 or better off losing at 175 because we saw what you did last time against volume, against pressure, and against your own body. You failed in every aspect. And now at an even more advanced stage, when Benavidez is potentially hitting the peak of his prime in ability and in physical capacity against Canelo at a higher weight where he can be even bigger than he already was at 168, where you said that was the biggest complaint. And you're on the decline, though it's slight, while Benavidez is on the incline and reaching his peak. What else there for me to say except for you've messed up your own opportunity to beat your biggest op? Because now, if he does accomplish this incredible thing and become undisputed, you are now going to be the one that's going to be looked at and said, are you going to still take this test? Because this is the man to beat now, not you. This is the guy to beat. If he beats either Bivol or Benavidez, depending on who wins the rematch, Benavidez is the guy to beat. Benavidez is the man now. That's the brother that now you got to chase. Because he did what you couldn't do. He accomplished what you couldn't accomplish. And he came from the same division. He achieved your failure. He jumped at the opportunity and was successful while you floundered when it came to facing off against the best of the best at that division. Dominated, made it look like a fool. That's what happened. That is what happened. You were successful against Kovalev, though older, though out of his prime, still incredibly dangerous. And we give all respect to that fight. Second time round against a prime Bivol, you lost. You dominated against. Now, if we see Benavidez potentially beat either Bivol or Benavidez, both of them still in their prime, what else is there for me to say except for, well, brother, or do you still want your smoke that you lost? Because now your smoke got to go through this man. The very man that you ran away from. The very man that you gave up $70 million that was laden on the table. When Benavidez only was gonna take $5 million. And you never responded back to him. You never gave him the opportunity he deserved. You never not only gave him the respect, but always downplayed what his actual ability and boxing legacy has been. Now, are you still gonna say that if he does what you couldn't do? If he is successful in your biggest failure, are you still going to have that same energy? Because as we've seen, you will pick and choose at this stage in your career who you do and don't want to call out. Also, Warlock Boxing, how you doing? Glad to see you. Oh my gosh, I almost missed you in the chat. How you doing? What's up with you? Glad that you're here. Glad that you're tuning in. Thank you for showing up to the show. Absolutely. But this is the issue. This is the problem. When we look at the likes of Benavidez, if he does indeed do this and accomplishes what seems to be the impossible and becomes the light heavyweight undisputed champion, now Canelo is the one that's now chasing. And Canelo's going to feel the pressure. Because at that point in time now, if he does that, there's no choice but to call him out. Is there? Is there not? Is there not any choice but to go and actively make the fight, make it happen? Get to a standpoint where, yeah, it is undeniable that you go through and achieve and fight. I'm so serious. I am so serious. And again, Rusty Cage, I agree. He's avoiding Benavidez, but I don't think it'll affect his legacy. Here's when I say it'll affect his legacy is set. No question. Canelo Alvarez's legacy is indeed set in stone. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that can take away what he has done. Beating Cotto, fighting Mayweather, knocking out Kovalev, becoming a champion at 154, undisputed at a champion at 160, undisputed at 168, facing and beating Gennady Golovkin twice, and two of some of the best wars of this era. Regardless of how you feel, one or the other should have won or lost. He did it. He faced off against the boogeyman of the division and Gennady Golovkin three times, excuse me. He did what nobody else wanted to do. He achieved greatness. He knocked out Billy Joe Saunders. He knocked out Caleb Plant. He cleaned out the division. He beat Danny Jacobs. He's went and fought all the way up to 175 and then came back to 168 and is currently reigning as the dominant champion at the division that nobody can touch at this division right now. That's the whole truth. He's cleaned it out. No question. His legacy is set in stone. But his legacy is also affected because it can't improve. If you are at the, here's the thing, Michael Jordan, when he retired the first time, his legacy was set in stone. One of the greatest basketball players in history, genuinely. Some people were calling him the GOAT after his first championship, which, again, for any player is preposterous, but regardless of which, he was at that threshold, one of the greatest we've ever seen. After his first 3 championships, done. He retired. If he just stopped right there, his legacy would have always been what it is. His legacy would have been great. Still, one of the greatest we've ever seen. Some people, even at that point in time, would have had him as the greatest player, period, after that first retire. But if it stopped there and he never played again, he can never elevate his legacy anymore. He couldn't. He could never elevate his legacy anymore if he just stopped right there. But he came back and kept on playing, won 3 more championships. Phenomenal. Great. Love it. And achieved what he achieved. And now we see what his legacy is. That is where Canelo is. Canelo has done all the work, did great work, and his legacy is set, but then he stopped. When you stop, you can't improve. And when you can't improve, you can't look at us to put you on a pedestal that you haven't earned yet because you ain't done the work to reach that elevated level. The issue with Canelo is not that we're bringing down his legacy, it's that you are stopping your own legacy from improving. You're already cemented. But there's still time to mold that cement before it dries completely. And you ain't doing nothing when we are saying you have the tools right at your disposal to go and do what you need to do. But because you ain't doing it and you're saying we're not hating, but there's more work to be done. Just like with Tank Davis. There's so much work that Tank needs to be doing. But he's getting ready to retire in 3 fights. What are we supposed to say except for, Tank, you ain't done nothing for us to give you a legacy worth latching on to. Like, here's the thing. And we think you can beat everybody, but if you ain't fighting nobody, we can't say that, yeah, you are indeed on the level of other all-time greats. You don't reach that threshold. What you are is what you are, but you can never become anything else. There is no evolution if you stop evolving. There is no evolution if you stop making changes, if you stop achieving greatness, if you stop chasing after legacy. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to say. There's no further point to make about elevating you. That's the truth. And with Canelo, that's where we are. We can't elevate you to where you don't belong if you don't we can't elevate you where you don't belong. We just can't. Because you haven't earned the right to get put in that new type of frontier. It's just the truth of the matter. You're one of the all-time greats. Nothing about your legacy can be changed for the worse. But everything about your legacy can never be added on to for the better if you don't do what you're supposed to do. And we're only asking for one thing. It's not like we're asking something egregious. We're simply asking, go and fight David Benavidez. That is literally all we're saying to do. You've cleaned out everybody else. You've done all the work in the past. Now the biggest op in your biggest test of this new redefined Canelo that evolved after Floyd is indeed Benavidez. We got why you lost to Bivol at 175. At this stage, your body is you can't fight there to the best of your ability, and he just beat you. Plain and simple. He beat you, and you also weren't able to be at your best. Two things can be correct. No problem there. But the issue is now you as a fighter, when you are at the best where you are at 168, we just want you to fight the best. That's it. And fighting the best, literally only one guy. That is all we're asking. One man. That one man is the difference, depending on how you dominate him, is the difference in you potentially usurping the likes of Julio Cesar Chavez. Arguably. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying there's a whole lot better argument. If you go and you dominate, if we saw that Canelo went and dominated the likes of Benavidez, like we saw Spence dominate, or like we saw Crawford dominate Spence, if that happened, and Canelo did that to Benavidez, I don't know what else could be said except for, oh my gosh. We had to put this man on a different stratosphere when it comes to the world of boxing. Not only did he handle his business, but he handled it so soundly to what was supposed to be the biggest opportunity to derail his record. And you knock him out in such a dominant fashion that it wasn't a contest. If that did indeed happen, you couldn't tell me that would elevate his legacy to be able to say, well, maybe this brother is better than Sanchez. Maybe this brother is on par and is tied with the likes of Julio Cesar Chavez. Maybe. We can have those conversations. And that alone elevates you all time drastically in the makeup of the grand scheme of the sport as a whole. It's just the truth. That's if you achieve. But if you don't achieve or don't even attempt, what else are we supposed to say except for you aren't doing your due diligence to make your legacy the best that it can be? Hence, we got to call it out. And because we got to call it out, hey, the only thing that we can say is you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And when you don't do what you're supposed to do, don't blame us for not giving you the just due that you feel you deserve. Because you don't. We don't take away what you've done, but we can't add to something that isn't there. We can't put food on a plate that isn't in your hands, can we? No. We can't give you a gift if you aren't there. We can't provide you with something that you want if you aren't there to take it. And Canelo can be there to take it, but the brother genuinely doesn't want to show up. He doesn't want to show up. That's on him. That's on him. That's the biggest thing. It's on him. But with all that being said, that's about everything I've covered. I need to cover on my, I believe that's everything I need to cover on my show, at least of the major stuff. So now, hey, we can go into the championship round, shall we? Oh, yes, indeed. Let's get it started. Let's get it popping. Make this show your own and go and shine and make everything that you can. We are in the championship rounds. Everybody has the opportunity to go and say what they want to say, whether it's in boxing, whether it's in sports, or any other medium. My opinions, my thoughts. You can ask me questions. You can start up debates. You can give your own topics. We got about an hour 30, or 30 minutes to an hour, that we can go through. Make the show your own. Get your questions in the chat. Put whatever you want to discuss on the stream, and we can talk about it right now to make it whatever you all want to do. Make the show worth your while. You want to talk about anyway. You want to talk about Tank. You want to talk about the likes of Shakur versus Floyd if you got some questions or concerns. Maybe if you want to see whatever other boxing dream matchups that you want to discuss in the NBA. Do you want to talk about Jimmy Butler and his debacle with Miami and him currently being indefinitely suspended by the Miami Heat? Could be a situation where he could be traded sooner rather than later. There is so much in the world of boxing, of basketball, just anything of the like. Whatever you want to discuss, put it in the chat below, and let's go. And in fact, let me put a bulletin in the thing right now. You can pin the commentary thing so everybody can know what's going on, and everybody can see exactly what we got to offer. Oh yes, indeed. Let's pin it up. Let's get it up there. There we go. Oh, yeah. Let's make it happen. Let's get it popping. Let's start and do what we know. And whatever you all want to discuss, whatever you all want to talk about, we can put it in the chat and we can make it happen. All you got to do is say it. Hey, and we'll do it. Oh, yeah. We'll bring it up. We'll have debates. We'll have conversations. It can be about anime. It can be about sports. It can be just about anything. We're here to have fun. We're here to laugh. We're here to learn. And we're here to grow. Absolutely, with all of you here in the chat. And please leave a like on the stream if you are here, if you would, just to go on and help push this to the algorithms, put this to the world of sports so everybody can see what we got going on. Everybody can tune in to exactly what we're showing right here on the Watch World. But again, even while we're waiting and getting your questions together, there is still stuff to discuss in the world of sports and in the world of boxing, even still, like with the likes of, we can go with Teofimo Lopez if we're being completely honest. We can go with the Teofimo Lopez. And we can go with how he has been relatively inactive for a buddy who's currently reigning as a champion. Genuine at 140. And now he's been mandated by, I believe, by the Ring Magazine and by his own belt commissioners. He's got 180 days to face off against the winner of Jack Catterall versus Barboza. And if that does indeed take place, hey, finally, we can see this brother show up and do what we know he needs to do, what we know he can do. But also on the flip side, there's a problem I have with Teofimo Lopez, and it's the fact that I want to see him more active as a champion, just on the whole. Genuine. But hold on. Oh, we got people in the chat. Is there actually a black Captain America in the comic books? Glad you asked. Yes, there is. There is absolutely a black Captain America. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking. With the world of the MCU taking place and with the likes of the MCU fully evolving, with Captain America again going through and putting down his shield after the events of Endgame, and now the Falcon now taking up the mantle given by Steve Rogers, at least in the MCU. That actually happened in the comic books. Genuinely. It was a legitimate thing. Captain Falcon and Captain America, they were tight. They grew closer together. Captain Falcon was able, through working alongside Captain America on various missions, both in and outside of the Avengers, got to see truly what the character of Captain Falcon was. See the tactical mind as well as the human aspect of it. And as a confidant, a friend, and as a legitimate hero, got to see how he embodied everything that the shield truly meant. Hence, when it was time to go and turn the mantle, it was Captain Falcon who was given the charge to take it on. And he did. And it was legitimate. It was real. It was a great comic book run. Phenomenal. It was a phenomenal comic book run. Helped flesh out the character. Helped tackle issues about not just race, but also about America as a whole. But that's what the shield has always done. The whole point of Captain, it's a major thing. The whole point of Captain America wasn't just the man, but the mantle. It's always been with Captain America. It is not a situation where, hey, I'm just repping for the United States. Though, yes, he was. But it was Captain America, Steve Rogers, and anybody who takes on the mantle or looks up to the mantle of Captain America. The goal is, and Steve Rogers said it himself, they are holding up the dream. It's not about America's better or worse than anybody. Steve Rogers loves America, absolutely, as did a bunch of people. But it's not just, the country. It's what the representation of the country is supposed to be, which is the best of people. The dream of America, which is something that everybody should be able to aspire to. That's what Captain America truly represented. And he said it in the comics. He represents the dream. It ain't just about repping the country. It ain't just about repping the citizens, but the dream and the ideals that this mantle, that this shield, that this red, white, and blue is supposed to represent for all people, regardless of whether you're here or not. That's what, there is a reason why, there's a reason why with Steve Rogers, everybody, there was a comic book where I believe he died. Or people thought that he died. And everybody across the globe mourned him. Everybody across the globe mourned that brother because of what he represented. The ideal and dream as Captain America was something that everybody bought into across the globe because it meant more than just the states. It was about people. That's what he did. And that's what it meant. And that's why Captain Falcon took it on, because he embodied that. And he earned that from Steve Rogers, which makes it great, which makes it phenomenal. Anybody who holds that shield, you got to be able to uphold the dream. No matter what race you are, what creed you are, what gender. It's about holding up the dream and being the standard, being the ideal, similar to the likes of Superman. Because Superman is a brother who truth, justice, and the American way is what he was brought into comics as. But what he truly represents is an ideal for all to say, even if you're small. Oh, Spider-Man does the same thing. Small or big. It don't matter. The responsibility is to make everybody be able to live in a world where they can truly be and enjoy life. And help more than hurt. Support and stand up for right, regardless of where or who you are. Be the best that you can be, both for yourself and for others. That's what these mantles of heroes actually represent. And so it's incredible. So essentially, to sum it up short, yes, Captain Falcon did indeed hold the mantle of Captain America in real life, in the comic books. It was incredibly well-written story. Read it yourself. Absolutely. You'll love it. You'll love it. Absolutely. But let's see. Zachy, what's up with this? How you doing? Glad that you're tuning in. Glad that you're here. Again, we are in the championship rounds. Don't forget, we are in the championship rounds. Let's see what you got to say. Do you think Benavidez Morrell is worth the $80 price range in America? Yes, I do. I don't say that for many fights. But this fight, yeah. Because not just of the hype, but of the story behind these two, the ramifications of this, and the talent level of both of them. They despise each other. They have both been on each other's radars, and the world has been watching them get closer and closer, wanting to see that fight. On top of, you see the likes of the ramifications of who wins this becomes the mandatory for the undisputed championship at light heavyweight. Genuinely. So no, this on top of Isaac Cruz and him fighting on the card, on top of Stephen Fulton versus Figueroa in the rematch, and I believe is it Carmel Moulton is also fighting on the undercard of this fight as well, or the prelims. Yeah, this is a card that I deem it's worth 80. This would be worth 80. This is quality. Stars, recognizable names, rematches, and legitimately quality fights all throughout. I don't say that for a lot of cards, because a lot of cards haven't been that. But of recent, since 2023, 2024, more often than not, these cards have been worth paying for. More often than not always. And that's not been the story of the sport as a whole. But this one, absolutely, it has. They should make another Punisher movie. They should. Let me tell you something. Punisher is such a great and deep character. Oh my gosh, Sam Castle is a phenomenal character. And on the big screen, brother, he can be so cool. So well done. So well done. If they give a proper crack at it. Genuinely. And who was the brother that played him in the series? I forget who played Sam Castle in the Punisher in the television series. It's on Disney Plus. I think it came on TV. I can't remember his name, but if they casted him again as the Punisher, but wrote the story properly, he could be one of the more popular characters in the MCU as a whole. The problem is, a lot of times they write the characters wrong. They get away from the source material to the point that it takes away an essence of what they are as a character. They did it with Hulk. They did it with Thor later on. They kept Captain America right, kept Iron Man right, In fact, they wrote to the point that they made Iron Man from the movie start getting implemented into the comic books of characters. Absolutely. It's great. But when it's bad, it's bad. And they've done, of recent, hey, Marvel's done some bad work. I can't deny. And I'm excited for Shang-Chi, though. He's coming out with another movie. I'm excited for that. Oh, boy. That's coming down the pike. I can't wait to see that. But let's see. Facts. Also, a good Ghost Rider movie is well needed. Yes, another one. As opposed to the Nicolas Cage version, who is one of my favorite actors because he's crazy. But outside of the Nicolas Cage version, would love to see a new Ghost Rider. Because Ghost Rider could, oh gosh, that's a character in and of itself who not just is a powerhouse, but is so, again, all these characters, they're so deep. They're so multi-layered. They can have so many different storylines with internal and external issues. It can be so good. But let's see. Eddie Reynoso has Tio and Munguia now. I'm interested to see if he can turn them around. Now, with this being the case, ironically enough, let's pump the brakes and let's see. Or let's break some news real quick. Munguia is on the radar of Tio. You can look at it on Ring Magazine a couple hours ago, got posted. Some of the names that Tio wants on his resume consist of Jaime Munguia. Now, Jaime Munguia is under the likes of in a rematch with Saras at the point in time, looking to fight him, looking to get his revenge against Saras. And honestly, got a lot of work that he needs to take care of. But regardless of which, we could see a situation where they may fight each other. Now, will they fight under the same umbrella? I don't know. If they did, that would be incredibly interesting. Who would Eddie Reynoso train? Or would he just train both of them to potentially face off against each other and then just be a neutral corner? Shoot, he could be the referee at that point. I prepped y'all for this. Let's see what y'all can do. Hey, talk about a family, interesting affair. I'd love to see that just for the spectacle. But that's what is talked about from the mouth of Tio. Will it happen? I'm not sure. But it's interesting. But either way, it's interesting to see what Eddie Reynoso can do for the both of them to evolve their styles. I'm excited to see it. No question. Green Lantern, one of my favorite characters. What did you think of the movie? If you're talking about the Ryan Reynolds movie, horrible. If you're talking about the Justice League series that came out on TV, incredible. What they did for Green Lantern from that facet. Most people think of Green Lantern, they think of that Justice League animated series Green Lantern. If you watched it, if you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix right now. One of the greatest, forget just animated shows, one of the greatest and well-written shows on the whole, superhero or not, that you will ever see. I stand on it. If you haven't gotten to see it, see it. That Green Lantern is what many people, comic book fans, and even moviegoers, they recognize that Green Lantern, Jon Stewart's Green Lantern, because it was so well written in the show. Now, you bring that Green Lantern into the new MCU, coupled with the likes of the brother who, the brother who they just cast as him for Green Lantern. I can't remember his name. Looking to be a very good movie, so I'm excited for it. The Ryan Reynolds movie was horrible. This movie, incredible. Can't wait to see it. But let's see. If you had to bet, who do you see Tank calling out if he beats Roach? If I had to bet, if I was a betting man, I would have the most likely. He's calling out Tio. If I'm betting money, he's calling out Teofimo Lopez. If I'm betting money, he's calling out Tio. Or if I want to bet big money, and I mean big money, preposterous money, he's calling out Inoue. And then Terrence Crawford. Those are my three. If I had three names to pick, the most money, if I was a betting man, the most I would bet would be on him calling out Teofimo Lopez. And then after that, calling out Naoya Inoue as the second most likely name. And then after that, a incredibly lobbed out affair. He calls out Terrence Crawford. And he fights Terrence Crawford potentially at 147. Hypothetically. It's stupid. It seems insane. I know. But at this stage, at least for the last prediction of what I would think he would do, pull out the stops at this point. Let's see what you got. Might as well. You go out with a bang if you're going to go out. And so it's a long shot. But just imagine. March comes around. They haven't agreed fully on the fight with Canelo Alvarez. In fact, the fight falls through. We then see Tank go in and beat Lamont Welch like we know is going to happen. And he goes out and says, Terrence Crawford, let's fight. Let's go. No rehydration, 147, biggest weight I can make. Let's see what you can do. Just because. And let's show the world who is indeed pound for pound the best. At this point, let's make it happen. At this point, make it happen. That's what of everything that would transpire, that would be the fight that would shock me the most. And I'd be the most excited for. The most excited for. Because it wouldn't be bringing somebody up, like if he brought up anyway, from 122 to 135, excuse me. It wouldn't be just within the range in elite competition. It would be on the whole. Take out the biggest monster you can on your way out. Just test yourself. Duran did it. Sugar Ray Leonard did it. Might as well see if I can do it too. Just because. That would be my biggest shock and all if I could see it happen. Absolutely. And let's see, Dry Turkey, what's good with you? How you doing? Glad that you're tuning in. Thank you for showing up to the show and showing up to the stream. What you got to say? Oh, excuse me. What you got to say on today? Tank will probably bring up Navarrete from 130 or anyway from 122. Tank loves not to fight guys on a level playing field. I forgot Navarrete's at that around that 130 range as well. You could bring up Navarrete from 130 and bring him up to 135. Or again, anyway from 122 all the way up to 130. If that's the case, I know that anyway won't take it. Because anyway understands his body can't handle that. You've seen the way that he's moved up in divisions. He's not moving quickly. He is taking his time to fully acclimate and be able to be the best that he can be. And then once he gets to the best he can be, he then fights to the best of the best. He's done it all throughout his career. He's not going to be stupid. He's not. He's not. I would be surprised if he took that fight because of how he knows that he's been moving. And it ain't like he ain't got mega fights of his own coming down the pipe within potentially a year or two. Like with Ben Rodriguez, like with Junto Nakatani, like with Tajiri, potentially. He's got Mark Vadaliev is also a brother who is rumored to be talked about. That's been claimed that he's been ducked by anyway. He's still got names. He's got a run in his own division. And he's been doing that this entire time, unlike the likes of Tank. So no. And most likely, even if Tank did call him out, he wouldn't take it. It'd be a waste of a call it. It'd be a waste. Unless he's going to come down to 122 to fight him. No. It'd be a waste of time. Waste of time. I guarantee you, like, if he did call him out, I could see it. Waste of time because there was no Tank. Anyway, ain't gonna take that. Because he's got enough business. He's literally got business that's reaching him within the coming months and or year. Why go away from that? He's got Bam who's moving up quickly. He's got Nakatani who said he wants one fight at 122 before ultimately, or at 120 before ultimately moving up to 122. So it's not like it's there. The stuff is there. The stuff is there. And he ain't never ducked smoke that's right in front of him. And smoke is reaching him now. And he smells it. And he's ready to go and take it all head on. And in a way, respects Tank and Tank respects anyway. So now, I don't see it happen. I can see him calling him out, but I don't see that fight happening actually. At least in my humble estimation. But there's so many potential fights at 135. Again, Shakur versus Floyd is happening right now. Shakur versus Abdullah Mason can potentially be an opportunity. We could see Tank versus Abdullah Mason since we got stars taking on up-and-coming prospects, even though Floyd is more of an established good fighter than a prospect, though he is incredibly young. He's already got 22 fights to his name. Absolutely. But regardless of which, it's great. Lomachenko, if he does come back from his back injury, he's still a champion. Can be on the docket to fight the likes of Gervonta Davis. Lomachenko could be a brother that he calls out to fight in the ring, potentially. after his fight with Lamont Roach. It's there. We could get Abdullah Mason versus Floyd Schofield. We could get a Neverete. If Neverete moves up to 130, to 135, we could get Neverete versus some big time talent, which will be incredible. We got names. We got a hodgepodge of talent. Though most of the major names have moved up to 140, the younger stars are evolving and turning into their own. And the big stars, there is just enough to have a roulette of a major carousel of big fights. It's there. Oh, it's there. And I can't wait to see it. Absolutely. I want to see Andy Cruz versus Andy Cruz. I completely forgot about Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz versus Tank. I would love to see that fight. I would love to see that happen. Will it happen? Most likely not. That's another great fight that can happen. Andy Cruz versus Shakur. If Shakur beats Schofield. Schofield versus Andy Cruz. If Schofield beats Shakur. Like, the possibilities are indeed endless for what can transpire. Let's not forget Keyshawn Davis. Oh, did we forget about that? Keyshawn Davis at 135 against Tank, against the likes of a Shakur, a Floyd Schofield, an up-and-coming Abdullah Mason, a Lomachenko. Hypothetically, there's a lot of stuff. Andy Cruz wants Keyshawn, and Zaki, you're absolutely right. Andy Cruz does want Keyshawn, but he doesn't seem to want to fight. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, Andy Cruz wants Keyshawn, but he doesn't seem to want the fight. 4-0 versus Keyshawn in the amateurs. Now, wait, hold on. Wait, hold on.
Hey, look at this! We got some problems.
Wait a second, hold on.
We got some
Wait a minute.
problems here.
Hold on. Wait a second. Let me see if I got this straight. So Andy Cruz has indeed been calling out Keyshawn Davis, but you're saying he doesn't want the fight with Keyshawn Davis. So he wants Keyshawn, but he doesn't want Keyshawn because of 4-0 in the amateurs. So, okay. So you're saying that he's talking the talk, but he really doesn't want to walk the walk because of what happened when they faced off against each other when they were coming up in their boxing career through the amateur ranks. Well, that's the case, and shoot. At this point in time, ain't no point in waiting. But if you really want to be about it, be about it. Go make it happen. Go take them on. Scared or not. You can't talk like you've been talking and then want to go and sit down. Get up and do what you got to do. Live up to what you say you can do. That's on you at that point. Because you get called out for it. You will get called out for it. And if Andy Cruz says he wants Keyshawn, especially what Keyshawn's been doing, and especially with what Keyshawn just did, knocking out a buddy who came in at 160 on the night of the fight and beating him within, 3 rounds? 3 or 4 rounds? Yeah. Keyshawn's a menace. Keyshawn's a dog. Keyshawn's a buddy that can really give anybody good work. Can potentially give Tank some good work if he gets that fight. So yes, if you there is a threat level, but don't back away from what you say you're gonna do. Make it happen. Live up to it. We already respect you as a star. We respect you as a buddy who you can be a big threat in this division. You can give anybody in this division a quality fight, a quality war if it turns into one. But don't be backing down what you say that you don't back down what you say what you can do. Handle what you can handle. And be about your business. Make it happen. If you can make it happen and you can win, make it happen. Plain and simple. What's the percentage you give Bud to beat Canelo? If I give Bud. Oh, that's a good question. I would give Bud a 30% chance to beat Canelo. Now, that sounds low. That sounds low. That sounds incredibly low. I know. I'm giving him only a 30% shot at beating him. It sounds low. But most people are giving that brother, a lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people are giving that brother less than a 10% chance just off of the size alone that he's got to go and capitulate and try to fight against. Genuine. So I'm trying to give him the benefit of what I know his skill set can be. He's got the ability to get the upset. Oh, yes, he does. He's got the skills to be able to make it happen. Just a matter of, like I said I ain't broke down the whole thing. When it gets officially announced, I'll break down the fight in detail and in totality. Absolutely. Like I've done on the past in these channels. But he's got to be perfect to beat Canelo. He has to be. He can be. But he's got to be. And to call anybody to be perfect to win a fight is so hard, especially with this much of a potential power, durability, and legitimate size disadvantage from a weight standpoint. There is a legitimate concern that is not just me glazing the likes of Canelo. It's not me trying to over-accentuate, oh yeah, he's all that in the bag of chips. They both are the best of this era. They both are defining this generation. They both, respectfully, are some of the best we've seen in the history of the sport. They are. That's not a question. That's an outright fact. But since that's the case, it's still a concern when we see Bud moving up from when he started out at 135, getting up to 168. That's hard to do. It's the reason why many people ain't done it. It's an anomaly if you can do something like that, especially against the best in the world at that division that is still pound for pound, that is still in his prime, and is still seen as one of the best of a generation even today. Like, that's a monster to go up against, even if you are indeed of that same ilk in your own right. When you're reaching weight classes well above where you are, I'm not trying to say you can't win, but I'm also going to be real in saying what you're going up against is something that if you do pull it off, there's a reason why I'm giving you only a 30% chance to pull it off. Because if you do, we've said this on this show before, if he pulls this off, we're looking at a fighter who is reevaluating the all-time great list. He is stamping himself high in the all-time greatest boxers we've seen in history. Absolutely. Because this would be like if Roy Jones Jr. or akin to, when Roy Jones Jr. was moving up from 154 to 160 to 168 to 175 and then ultimately got to heavyweight. But at heavyweight, instead of fighting Ruiz, he went and fought Lennox Lewis in his prime at heavyweight for the undisputed title. Yeah, we would be calling him the greatest in history. No question. If he did that. But just by getting to the heavyweight division and winning a title, that's incredible. No question. That puts him in a status of one of the greatest of all time, arguably a GOAT. Arguably within that GOAT conversation. I've always said he's the most talented, pure boxer in history outside of the likes of Sugar Ray Robinson. But his greatness is indeed of the GOAT caliber, beyond just the all-time great caliber. But if he beat Lennox Lewis in his first fight at heavyweight for the undisputed title, and in Lennox Lewis's prime, at that point in time, we would be saying a completely different tune than we're already saying right now about Roy Jones Jr. And we talk about Roy Jones as a myth because he is. But if we beat Lennox, ridiculous, insanity. You got an argument, we're putting that brother above the likes of Roy, of Robinson. There's an actual argument if he did that. I'm a boxing historian. I don't say that in jest. If he beat Lennox Lewis in his prime at heavyweight, in his first fight from coming up from 154, I would call him the greatest boxer in history. Above even the great Sugar Ray Robinson. And I wouldn't skip a beat. Because that's undeniable. What Bud is attempting to do is of that same undeniable variety, of that same unfathomable, incomprehensible, insanity-driven type of achievement. It doesn't make sense to the logical mind. He does that, he reaches that threshold. But it's because of the unlikeliness that this can take place because of what we understand even with as great as he is, what he's going up against is apropos of that level of respect when it comes to who should win that matchup. So if an upset happens, we want to see it. But we're not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, it's definitely a 50-50 fight. It's not. It's not 50-50 because of what the other brother has in his arsenal. It ain't like they're so far apart in all technical ability. You don't just get to 175 by just being big. You don't get from 154 to 175 and knock out Kovalev and at least get to a shot at beating Bivol by just being big. You got to be legitimate. You got to be talented. You got to be great in multi-facets, elite. And Canelo is elite in multiple facets, just like Crawford. So it ain't like the skill set is just one's only got size and Crawford's got everything else. No, Canelo has everything else as well and size. Crawford's got everything but is giving up size in this fight. So it's like Crawford's fighting at a disadvantage. So if he does pull this off, it will be incredible. Phenomenal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Murtala, I forgot about Murtala also in the division. A great fighter as well that can mix it up. I don't think he's seeing, let me see, we got people coming. I don't think he's saying Keyshawn doesn't, I think he's saying Keyshawn doesn't want to fight. Okay. Excuse me. So we're seeing that we're seeing that Andy Cruz is saying Keyshawn doesn't want to fight with him. Okay. Understandable. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. Now that we got, okay, it makes a little more sense now. Now we can put the story together. Understandable. Appreciate the clarification, Rusty Cage. Absolutely. In my opinion, Canelo versus Bud is as ridiculous as Tank versus... Y'all see this? Y'all see this comment right here is exactly what we're saying. This is exactly what we're saying. This is the exact comment I've been trying to get everybody to be able to understand when it comes to this fight. Canelo versus Crawford is as ridiculous as Inoue versus Gervonta Davis. And if Crawford can pull this off, this would be as incredible as if Inoue beat Tank and knocked out Tank. Are you kidding me? This is exactly what I've been trying to say. This is what I've been trying to say. I think people don't get that. This is what I've been trying to say this entire time. The ridiculousness of this is like if Inoue fought Tank and won, or if Tank fought Terrence Crawford and won. Like, are you kidding me? This is as insane as if Benavidez moved up to heavyweight and beat the likes of Usyk immediately. What in the world is it that people, this is what I've been trying to get. This is how preposterous this entire scenario is. If he can pull this off, it would be ridiculous. It would be absolutely ridiculous. John Ruiz wasn't the best heavyweight, but after he lost to Roy Jones Jr., he won 3 fights in a row, beating the likes of Galata, Rockman, beating the likes of Galata and Rockman. Absolutely. Ruiz became heavyweight champion again. So Ruiz was a good heavyweight. He wasn't the best, but he was good, and he was beating quality names. He was beating Galata, who was beating the likes of Riddick Bowe twice before he ultimately did himself in with those stupid low blows that I have no clue as to why. If we never threw those low blows, he would have beaten Riddick Bowe twice. And Ruiz beat him. And he beat Rockman, who knocked out Lennox Lewis. So it's like Roy beat a good heavyweight that was already preposterous to even think about. If he went and did the same work against Lennox Lewis and not Ruiz, we would be having a completely different conversation. And already the conversation is stupidly great because how stupid the accomplishment was. And with Inoue and Tank, is just like if what we see right now with Crawford and Canelo potentially on your bus. Exact same thing. An insane possibility that makes no sense, but doggone it if it happens and the impossible gets done. It's so ridiculous that it makes us rethink the landscape of where we put boxers at now. Because somebody is getting elevated up and somebody's getting elevated down when these types of ridiculous sentiments or ridiculous accomplishments do indeed go from just hyperbole and potential to actual reality. Yeah. So yes, Canelo and Bud is as insane as Inoue versus Tank. It's as insane as that. And if it comes to fruition and he wins, it is incredible. It's incredible. It is indeed incredible. Wholeheartedly, it's incredible. No question it's incredible. Absolutely. And so, Rigo jumped up from 122 to 130 to fight Loma. So why can't Inoue jump to 130? Tank, last fight, he weighed in at 133, so I'm sure he could make 130. Here's the thing. Understand. You have to get, when it comes to, hold on, excuse me one moment. Let me make sure this stream isn't messing up. Give me one second. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold up for 1 second. Hold on. Okay, we're good. Okay, I thought stuff was freezing. Okay, no, okay. I thought stuff was freezing. My apologies. So, dry turkey, let me help you out. Vigo jumped from 122 to 130 to fight Lomachenko. So why can't Inoue jump to 130? Tank, last fight he weighed in at 133. I'm sure we could see those 3 pounds. Well, let's see. Right now, for one, Tank right now is walking around at 139. Tank has already fought at 140 currently. And he's even against the likes of Lamont Roach. Even for Lamont Roach's own title. He's not fighting Lamont Roach in his own domain. He's bringing Lamont Roach up to 135. Even right now, I speculate he can't operate comfortably going back down. And he'd be better off operating up at 140 than operating down to 135 based on how he's been moving recently. Bringing everybody up to his weight class, his domain, this one specific area. Because by that same logic, why can't Tank move up to 140? It's a 5-pound difference, and we just saw him on Instagram weighing in at 139.7. And he fought at 140 before. Why can't he campaign at 140 if he's been able to do it consistently? And by his own metric, it's because the people are too big. Oh, I don't want to be outweighed and by people that are bigger than me. He said that himself. That's not me speculating. That's what he said. That's not me speculating. That is what he said. And again, what happened? Like, Rusty brings up a good point. What happened when Rigo faced up against Loma? He made him quit. He made him quit. Now, that's because Loma is indeed a phenomenal fighter. But at the same time, also, if you do move up, there's always a risk. And even for the smaller weight classes, though it seems like it's small, it really isn't small. It really isn't. Like Pacquiao was at 100. Pacquiao was the minimum weight champion, but he weighed in at 98 pounds when he won it. For him to get up from that to 110 is a major jump. And in 110 to 115, that's 5 pounds difference. Now, at the same time, we've seen people with a mere 2-pound difference, all of a sudden, they're a completely different animal. These weight classes are there because there is an intricate elevation that truly does affect the body. For real. It truly does. It truly does affect the ability or inability of a fighter, even though if it's a small change. It's true. And so because of that, this is indeed a big jump. It's not just 3 pounds. That is, anyway, we'll be moving up to 135, not even 130. And so this is a situation where, like, wait a minute, let's see, Figueroa versus Fulton right now is at, let's see, what class is it? Figueroa versus Fulton right now is at 122. We could see Fulton go up to 126. Fulton at 130, I'd be concerned. Hypothetically, Fulton at 126, I would be a little bit concerned. Because these jumps they're not small jumps as people may seem to make it out to be. It is indeed a major jump. A perfect example is Emmanuel Navarrete. He fought at 126. And then he went to fight at what was it? No, he fought at 130. Was it 130 when he fought against Oscar Valdez? And okay, yeah, Fulton's at 126 right now. And potentially, we could see the power of Figueroa at 126 in this fight be enough to dissuade him. Even at he already had a fight at 126, did he not? Rusty Cage, remind me, he already had a fight at 126, am I correct? Before the Figueroa fight. And he got knocked down. And it was a war that he had to really fight to get that win. When he was dominating at 122 before he fought against the likes of Inoue. If I'm remembering correctly. And if that is the case, again, verify for me. If you can, if you have the time. But yep, okay, yeah. So yeah. Fulton's 126 right now. Fulton went and fought at 126 before he fought Figueroa in this upcoming weekend. And he got knocked down. And he got hurt. And he had to work. And that was simply 4 pounds up against a fighter with all due respect. We all thought that Fulton was well above it. We thought Fulton would be able to be at least look like the Fulton of old without as much trepidation. Because this wasn't a Figueroa that was going up against that we know already could bring war to him. Nor was it somebody like an Inoue that both beat him at his own game and then outright blew him out the water when he went to go in for the kill. It wasn't a fighter that we saw that was on the level of that caliber in any way, shape, or form. With all due respect. And he had some trouble. A lot of trouble. Now, that was merely a 4-pound difference. So you see why we always marvel at people moving up and why I always talk about and preach that it's a concern when you move up. Because even as simple as a couple pounds can affect not just your ability, but your durability. It's not just about you giving a punch. It's about you being able to take it as well. 4 pounds difference. A 4-pound difference. If we want to compare it to weightlifting, a 4-pound difference is the difference in one person's natural rep range and another person's max. We talk about like, okay, I'm benching 200. Boom, I'm benching 200. Try to bench 103. Not even 105. Try to bench 103 when your max that you know you can do is try to bench 203 pounds when your max that you can bench is 200. It's only 3 pounds, is it not? But it makes a world of difference. It makes a world of difference. It truly does. And so that's why weight classes are there. Because even as small as 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds can shift the dynamic of a fight as a whole. It does. Rigo going up to 122 or went up for 122. Wasn't he able to handle the likes of Nonito Donaire? And then once he got to 130, all of a sudden he was still great, but it wasn't the same. And he got outclassed and outbeat, albeit by all-time great fighter, but even still, it was different. This is what weight classes mean and what they do and how they affect the body and the fight as a whole. So no, it's not easy. It's difficult. as simple as a 3 or 4 pound difference can be insane. And for Inoue to move up to 135, not even 130, 135 to fight the likes of Gervonta Davis would be ludicrous. Because look at it this way. We got Lamont Roaches only fighting a 5 pound difference against Tank at 130. And we're all saying this is absolutely preposterous.
Hey, look at this. We got some problems here. We got some problems here.
Are we not all saying that this is stupid that Lamont Roach is fighting Tank at 130? But it's only a 5 pound difference and Lamont Roach is a champion? But we're all saying that that's absolutely horrendous. We're all saying that's a horrible fight. And not just because of the caliber, but because of the circumstance of you're bringing up somebody that you know if everybody at 130 already can't take your power. Why the world do we think that somebody at why the world do we think that when you move up to 135 after you've cleaned out 130 and you didn't even unify at 130, but you move out of 130, you blind the likes of Hector Garcia with a right hand that has him quitting because he literally says, I can't see. You knocked out Ryan Garcia, though he has broken ribs. You knocked out Frank Martin, who even then showed a good chin against you until he got done away with. And you are the most devastating puncher in the division. The only buddy who's been able to withstand you is the likes of Isaac Cruz, and even that was with the context of a broken hand. So we know what you are. And we know if somebody comes up against you and they are, especially at 120, at 130, coming up to fight you, that's a problem. Because we're already saying everybody, even at this weight, can't handle you in the slightest. There's no way somebody 5 pounds lighter than you, that's gaining 5 pounds to fight this fight, has any shot at winning. None. No, it's a problem. Hence why the weight classes are indeed a difficult thing. And it's why the jump is not an easy jump. For some people, their body can do it. We don't even know if Crawford's body can handle the likes of moving up to 165 or 168. We didn't know if he could handle moving up to 154. Now, going up 20 pounds just about to reach 168, but I don't know what he's going to be like, nor what the word he can handle. That's preposterous. That's so stupid in terms of the insanity of if you do take that jump. And so within a way, same thing. Though the weight class is not as big of a discrepancy, that's still relative to the body that we're talking about. That's a huge weight. That's huge. There's a reason why we haven't seen anybody do what Pacquiao's done. There's a reason why we've rarely seen what anybody do that Roy Jones Jr. has done. There's a reason why we marvel at people like Henry Armstrong, who was able to be champions in 2 different weight classes at the same time and reign in both. It's preposterous. But it's a monumental type of accomplishment. But it makes us really understand those 3 pounds, those 5 pounds are very much a diabolical thing. Stephen Fulton showed it. We're going to see Lamont Roach experience it when he faces off and gets knocked out by Tank. And we're going to see potentially that same effect happen with the likes of Terrence Crawford when he moves up to fight against people like Canelo Alvarez. It's hard to overcome that weight. But if you can do it, you are indeed great. Hence why we marvel at it and why we love it. And why we want, if we are saying we believe you can take that test and pass it because of how great you are, go for it. And so yeah, go for it, but go for it smartly. But go for it. And if you do, further acclimate your greatness. If you don't, you tried. And that's the least that we can say. You tried. As long as you tried, that's the biggest thing that we care about. You tried to accomplish the greatness by going after something that seems highly illogical. But because you attempted it, you are etched as a great fighter. because you took a risk that in this life-altering sport, one punch can legitimately kill you. And you're adding on to that danger by adding more weight behind the punches that you are going to receive. We give you our respect. We do. We do. We genuinely do. And so, yeah, weight does matter. It's not just as simple as a 3-pound difference. So hopefully that helps clear up exactly why it's such a ludicrous type situation. It's incredible. But on the logical end of the spectrum, it is so insane to think about because of the reality of what it takes and the danger incurred when you do decide we're moving up. It's especially when you jump more than just 5 pounds. It's a, oh boy, it's a risk. But if you can make that risk worth and make it work and thrive in it, we applaud you and we say you're great. Even if you just attempt it, we say that you're great. Absolutely. No question about it. But again, is there anything else anybody has to say on the show? Any more comments? Any more concerns? Any other types of questions? It's time. Again, it is a championship round. This is not. We are still working and waiting in the rings for anybody and everybody, to say their piece, say their time, get their voice known, to be able to be seen in the grand scheme of the world of sports and just beyond. But if nobody else has anything else to say, and if everybody else is genuinely, hey, we're good to go, I guess we can wrap it up. It's been a phenomenal show. We're about at the 2-hour mark, 2 hours, 30 minutes. Hopefully, I got my time right. But if nobody else has any more questions, no more comments, no more concerns, hopefully, again, hopefully, Turkey, I helped you further understand why the discrepancy is such a poignant thing. If anybody else got nothing else to say, well, I guess we can end this round off with a bang. Yes, indeed. And now that we've come to the end of the show, we can now say what we all know. It's true. It's time to end it. It's time to work. And it's time to call it a day. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of The Watchable with me, Sean Welch. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the show. Again, please clap it up for yourself. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you showing up. Thank you to everybody who's been staying with me on the live stream. We've had some fun. We had some time. We had some great work. Love your questions. Love your comments. We still growing. We still thriving. And we still gonna make this show the best that it can be. Absolutely. And I appreciate all of you tuning in with me on Thursday. I'm not gonna be able to call the fight with Benavidez versus Fulton or Benavidez versus Morrell on Saturday. I'll say that right now. But we will cover it next week on top of so much more in the sports world. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening. Tune into the fight on Saturday. We'll see you on Tuesday. I've been John Luke Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. We are out of here. Yes, sir. We're out. Appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Won't be able to cover the fight, but we will talk about it on Tuesday. Oh, I can't wait to be with you all because the ripple effects are going to be phenomenal. We'll see y'all next week. Be safe. Have fun. Enjoy the fights. Be blessed. And we'll see y'all next week. Oh, and leave a like before you leave the stream if you don't mind. Just as a shameless plug.